BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By Subaru Retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. By LL Bean, discover gear that lasts at LLBean.com. By the 2017 Kia Sportage, visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. By Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Weather could be a factor here tonight at Fenway Park, as we told you just a couple of moments ago. We'll see how serious it gets. We know one guy is serious when it comes to coming protected, and that is certainly our man Tom Caron. TC?
Well, B, I'll tell you what, they took the tarp off the field, and that's good news, at least as far as getting this one started on time. There is a chance of rain, and that chance of rain is going to hang around for a little while. From up here, you can really see the wind and see the clouds, and they go on for a while, but they're hoping this window will keep rolling. Also hoping Stephen Wright keeps rolling. You just heard Dave and Jerry talk about his incredible numbers. We've all enjoyed watching him throw that knuckleball. No one has gotten a better look at it than Ryan Hannigan, the catcher. Only he doesn't get to enjoy it. He's too busy trying to catch the darn thing.
With Goodwin Elementary.
It's a grind catching him. It's just there's no consistency in where the ball's going to end up. You know, he's throwing a lot of strikes, which is why he's having a lot of success. But you know, it moves left, right, up, down. You know, it does all kinds of stuff. So I just try and relax as much as I can, let it get to, you know, as close to me as I can before I make a move. That's the key. You know, it's humbling a little bit because you know you're not going to catch all of them, and I take a lot of pride in my defense. But, you know, you just got to knock down the ones that you're off a little bit, try and keep them in front. Realize you're not going to catch all of them, but, you know, you just do what you can, as many as you can, try and get into a rhythm and stay relaxed. It'll come in, it'll look like it's going to be one way, and then it'll do something else. And you know, it's not the smoothest look, I'm sure, but, you know, I just try and knock it down. Even if I don't catch it clean, hopefully it'll fall in front of me and I can pick it up. Obviously, when runners get on base, it's even more of a grind, you know, just to keep the ball in front. But, you know, that's the beauty of it, the deception he's got. It, you know, causes hitters to miss. It's such a you know, tough pitch to kind of predict where it's going to end up for a hitter and a catcher.
It's obviously a tough pitch to catch. It's also a tough pitch to call balls and strikes. If you're the umpire, Ryan Hannigan told me he talks to the umpire before every Stephen Wright start and says, hey, hang with the pitch. It might dart into the strike zone, so don't give up on it just because it seems to be outside as it approaches the plate. OB and the Rem Dog will talk more about that as we get ready for baseball on a somewhat rainy Friday night, but the rain won't dampen the enthusiasm. Red Sox fans fired up, trying to watch this team extend the winning streak when they take on the Astros tonight.
Perform research.
Red Sox.
Low fares and nothing to hide. Well, the rain has started to come down ever so gently here at Fenway Park, but we're trying to get the game started within the next minute or so. Here's the Astros lineup, brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Jose Altuve leads it off. George Springer and Carlos Correa follow. Colby Rasmus will be followed by Marwin Gonzalez and then Luis Valbuena. Carlos Gomez is the DH. Jason Castro the catcher, and Jake Marisnick is in center field and batting ninth. Against the Red Sox starting pitcher, presented by your New England Audi dealers, that is Stephen Wright. He is 3-3 with the number 3 ERA in the American League. 1.52. It looks like, Jerry, that rain is going to be with us off and on tonight.
Yeah, I think so. This is probably the hottest it's rained since we've been in the ballpark. We're going to get started on time.
And the first batter, Altuve, flirting with a bunt and takes a strike, and we are underway. They did have about 90 minutes ago the tarp on the field, and it peeled it off. Fans came ready. And the 0-1 from Wright is upstairs. Wright was in complete control as he tossed his first career complete game last Sunday at Yankee Stadium. A 3-hitter to beat the Yankees 5-1. One of those nights, Jerry, you watched the pitch and you said they have no chance. Yeah,
and he was throwing a lot of high knuckleballs that night. They were dipping down into the strike zone. Very successful with it. See the numbers against the Yankees, the complete game, 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk.
2-1 pitch, Luke foul. Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Andy Fletcher behind the plate. Toby Basner at first, Joe West at second. He's the crew chief, and Kerwin Danley will make the calls at third. And the 2-2. Popped him up and foul ground. Hanley Ramirez and Dustin Pedroia will watch that sail into the stands. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish, selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Altuve waiting and hammers a line drive into left field for a base hit.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are first in the American League, 14 errors in 35 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base, and Bogarts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia in second. Hanley Ramirez, the first baseman, left to right. Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts, and Ryan Hannigan once again behind the plate, catching Stephen Wright.
And George Springer will climb in. Certainly used to the weather in New England. The New Britain native and a former Yukon star, hitting .255 with 7 homers.
Now, base stealers like to go against knuckleball pitches. We'll see if Altuve has that in mind. He's got 13 steals on the season, has been caught 1 time.
What a good little player he is at 5'6". He has as many home runs, 9, as David Ortiz. But to steal a line from the great Vince Scully, he looks like he could have fallen out of David's back pocket.
That's a good one.
Give that one to Vin. He's had a few. Little trickler right off the hill. On to Hanley Ramirez, and down to second base is Altuve with 1 down. And a look at the forecast here for tonight. Well, what you see is what you get. Rain showers in the forecast, 65 degrees at the moment.
One of the dangers with the rain coming down, the slippery field. I mean, the dirt pot's okay right now, but the grass is obviously wet. And any kind of ground ball can skip through in a hurry. You got to be very careful in the outfield. Got to play the conditions.
Here's Carlos Correa, their outstanding young shortstop, .269 with 5 home runs. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts last night. Play on at second, and the tag is not in time to get Altuve.
And see a lot of that, Dave, because we talked about it last night. Dustin Pedroia with Altuve at second base. He holds him on almost like a first baseman. He's very close to second base. He'll kind of cut himself back in toward the bag, and it makes it possible for attempted pickoffs.
Another one, and the tag not in time.
Of course, the key to that for Pedroia, if there's a pickoff is not on, he's got to get himself back in fielding position.
Correa is 2 for 2 against Stephen Wright. And in there for a called strike.
And one of the things Wright is trying to do is just make Altuve stop at second base. You know, when you're trying to steal third, you'd like to get a walking or running lead. And you try to make that guy stop. And that's why you saw Wright hold the ball a long time on that last pitch.
The 0-1 to Correa, and that'll drift outside.
You got a kick out of that. Pedroia was telling him to throw the ball home.
Everything's just a little different with a knuckleball guy.
It is. The whole game is different. Watch Pedroia tell him, go ahead, throw it home. Throw it home. Now.
One out, one on. 2 balls and 1 strike. Of course, Altuve and Springer opened up last night with base hits against David Price, and I think a lot of people were thinking, well, here we go again. Especially after, you know, what had happened in previous starts, but he settled in beautifully.
Yeah, that changed in a hurry, didn't it? He was extremely good last night.
12 strikeouts, 3 in the first inning. Weaved on and missed. That one really disappeared.
Yeah, that was a low knuckleball that time, down around the knees and maybe even a little bit below the knees. You see the grip on the knuckleball with the fingertips and the bottom just falling right out of it.
Looking for the strikeout of Correa here. Here's the 2-2. And that's in there for strike 3. It popped out of the mitt, but it is strike 3. And down goes Correa as Wright gets his first K.
Correa's got a question now, but the fact is the knuckleball was right on the outside corner. What made it look bad is the fact that Hannigan dropped it. But as you can see right there, it clearly gets the outside part of the plate, and Correa's in disbelief. Well, that knuckleball just stayed straight, didn't it? And it just bounced right out of the glove of Hannigan, but they pick up the strikeout.
That'll send up Colby Rasmus. Hitting just .224, but he has 7 home runs, and of course one of those came against the Red Sox, a grand slam in Houston. That's a strike.
By the way, this is the second start that Wright has had against Houston. He made the start down in Houston and picked up the win in that game, going 6 2/3. He did walk 5 in that game, but he struck out 6.
Altuve at second base with 2 down. To the shortstop, but there's nobody there. Bogarts has to go and get it. Altuve will take the turn, throw back to third to dive. He gets in safely, but Bogarts able to range over there, kept Altuve from even thinking about scoring.
That's a very good play by Bogarts. Unfortunately for him, the ball was not hit that hard, so he had time to cover the ground. He's not even in the picture yet. And here he comes to the backhand, and that's going to save a run. Because Altuve, with his speed, would have had no problem scoring had that ball got into the outfield. So a good play by Bogarts.
So they're on the corners, an infield single for Rasmus. The batter will be Marwin Gonzalez. I think after the way that David Price ramped it up last night, he had 96 on the radar gun that the Red Sox had internally yesterday. That was a collective sigh of relief, I think. As he was going to make those corrections, Jerry, those mechanical corrections, they really paid off.
It did, you know, and you could tell he was thinking about it a little bit the first inning or so, but then he got into the groove, and after he found that, he was lights out.
That'll pick up the outside corner for a strike. Gonzalez not thrilled. 247 with 3 home runs. He was 1 for 4 and struck out twice last night, as the Red Sox once again ran away and hid from an opponent with the bats, and a combination of hitting and pitching.
Look what Mookie Betts is in right field. He is very, very shallow with Gonzalez at the plate, trying to take that base hit away.
2 down in the 0-1. Check swing foul, out of play. And now Stephen Wright has the upper hand. He has Gonzalez in the hole. Valbuena on deck. for this Houston team, which has been a big disappointment. They're 14-23. They were a wild card team last October. Foul back.
Now, they played great baseball last year without a doubt, but this year so far they're not sneaking up on anybody. Everybody knows they have a good ball club.
Already 8 games behind Seattle. And just 4-12 on the road. Two strikes on Gonzalez. Runner at first goes. There's a base hit up the middle. That'll bring in Altuve. Rasmus has to hold at second base, and it is 1-0 the Astros in the first inning.
Well, he jumps on a high knuckleball that time that stayed high. It did not dip for him. And Gonzalez tomahawks that ball in the center field. Watch how high this knuckleball is. It's up above his shoulders, way out of the strike zone, and he's able to get on top of that ball and hit it on the ground up the middle. That's pretty impressive hitting right there by Gonzalez. Rasmus was off of the pitch. It was taking Pedroia toward the baseball, but he's had no chance. The ball was hit too hard.
That old saying about facing a knuckleball, if it's high, let it fly. Here's Valbuena. He can be trouble even though he's only hitting .204. He's got a lot of power. So far, just the 1 home run. Runners at first and second, and a run in. Yank foul for strike 1. One of the reasons the Astros have scuffled so badly in the early going is their offense. They're only hitting .229 as a team, 14th in the American League.
They are kind of a strange offense, aren't they? They hit home runs, they steal bases, they don't strike out very much, and they don't walk very much. I take that back. They do walk a lot. They don't strike out very much, but they do walk a lot.
Valbuena's hit safely in 6 in a row. Wright trying to escape this inning without any more runs. And a high fly ball to left center field. Here comes Brock Holt into the alley, looking up into the raindrops, and he snags it for out number 3. Red Sox coming up, hitting in their favorite inning, the first, when we come back. Head groundskeeper Dave Miller out there with the umpires, and he has his little iPad with the forecast on it and with the picture of what's coming in. There was an awful lot of green on that. We got to look at it a moment ago, and that's not good news. The rain has picked up a little bit here at Fenway. 1-0. The Astros have the lead. Time for a look at the Red Sox lineup. Brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Mookie Betts about to lead it off. Dustin Pedroia and Xander Bogaerts, David Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez. Travis Shaw at third base, Brock Holden left, Ryan Hanigan catching, and the smoking hot Jackie Bradley is in center field and batting ninth. The Red Sox are now the #1 scoring team in Major League Baseball, not just the American League, after last night's explosion. And they've won 5 in a row. And facing the right-hander Lance McCullers, who makes his debut for the season.
Yeah, first game of the season for McCullers. He was on the disabled list and made a couple of rehab starts with a bad shoulder.
Ground ball toward the middle. Correa throws, and oh, what a play that was on the spin. He's got a cannon for an arm there, too. One man gone.
Well, there's a couple of things on that play. First of all, showing great range going to his left, spinning and throwing a wet baseball. You know by the time he picks that up, that ball's wet from hitting the grass and the dirt, and he throws a strike to first base. That is a terrific play to get Mookie Betts at first base.
That'll bring up Dustin Pedroia, who is hitting .306. Last night, the Red Sox became the first team in the majors this season to score in double figures in 4 straight games. Sox last did that in 2007. The 0-1. It's the first time since 1950 they scored 11 runs or more in 4 in a row. Xander Bogaerts launched a home run last night in the first inning. That's through there for a strike. And for the first time in Fenway history, the Red Sox have recorded at least 8 runs with at least 12 hits in 6 consecutive games here at home. This offense has been remarkable. 2-2.
Red Sox will see the fastball, the breaking ball. You just saw that there, and also the changeup from McCullers, who's faced the Red Sox a couple of times in his career. No record, 2.70 ERA.
The 2-2, and in there for strike 3. That catches Pedroia. He strikes out looking 2 away.
And McCullers goes up and away from Pedroia. Good pitch. It gets the strike zone, as you'll see. It's right on the outside corner. And high on the outside corner. Pretty nasty right there. The best thing you do as a hitter is try to foul that ball off. It's a tough pitch to swing at.
Here's Xander checking in at .331 with 3 homers and 18 runs batted in. A 7-game hitting streak. He pops a foul out of play. McCullers is one of the few hard throwers in their rotation. They have a lot of guys who throw, 90, 91, 92, but he can get it to 95 and higher. The 0-1. That'll miss. Back to last night, his home run.
Yeah, breaking ball to Bogaerts, and almost one hands it out of the ballpark. 2 hands on contact, but then you see the follow through, and he took it out of Fenway Park.
That one blooped toward right center. That's going to dunk down for a base hit, and Xander is on with an 8-game hitting streak. Just flared that one off the end of the bat.
The Astros defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are 10th in the league, 21 errors in 36 games. Luis Valbuena at third base, Carlos Correa the shortstop, Jose Altuve at second, Marwin Gonzalez the first baseman, left to right Rasmus, Bereznik and Springer, and Jason Castro doing the catching.
And David Ortiz doing the hitting, stepping in at .319, 9 homers and 30 runs batted in, 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. First inning has been the most productive for the Red Sox as he takes one outside. And David seems to be a regular part of it. He's homered 6 times in his last 12 games. And the 1-0 from McCullers. He checks and it's a strike.
David sitting on the fastball on the 1-0 count, didn't get it, got a breaking ball and just took that pitch. Well, what a strange defense in the outfield. Look where the right fielder Springer's playing. Over toward the Red Sox bullpen.
And the 1-1. Check swing and it's fired foul, and David's upset with himself. Time now to see who's been driving the ball, presented by Toyo Tires. David Ortiz last 4 games, 438 with 2 homers. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox.
I mean, if Ortiz pulls the ball down the right field line, that run's going to score from first base.
1-2 pitch, waved at and missed for strike 3. So 2 Ks in the inning for McCullers. And for a change, the Red Sox don't score right away after 1-0 Houston. An all-new episode of NESN Clubhouse. It's Wally's birthday. Mascots from around the country are flying in to join the party. Plus, here Red Sox players dish on their favorite school mascots. All Sunday at noon on NESN Clubhouse, presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. 1-0 after an inning. The Astros in front. Here's Carlos Gomez, the flamboyant DH tonight, typically an outfielder. Not a fiery start, hitting just 196 without a home run. We saw him looking to bunt frequently last month in Houston.
Now you try anything when you're struggling, and you mentioned the 196 batting average.
Two-time Gold Glover, flashy style that sometimes puts him in hot water with opponents. And the 3-0 in there for a strike.
And to get a strike, he goes to the fastball on the 3-0 count, but keeps it away from Gomez.
3-1 popped him up on a big swing. Xander Bogaerts backpedaling and puts it away. That'll send up Jason Castro.
That's 2 fastballs in a row that he threw to Gomez. He threw him one on the 3-0 count to get a strike, then he came right back with it on the 3-1 count and actually jammed Gomez with the pitch. Fastball stays inside, the big swing, but then the big pop-up.
And that performance against the Yankees, the complete game effort, and it was a 9th inning home run that cost him a shutout in New York. He was very cagey with his fastball in that one. He really surprised the Yankees several times with it.
And we'll also see him feature a curveball every now and then too, something he's added.
Castro, the catcher, 1 for 1 against Steven, and that's a strike. Wright has started the season with a quality start in all 6 starts, joining Roger Clemens in 91-93 and Clay Buchholz in 2013. As that one is cut on and missed for strike 3, is the only, I should say strike 2, the only Red Sox pitchers in the last 50 years with such a start to a season. So very impressive. A ball and 2 strikes on Castro. Marisnick on deck. And that one flared toward left. On his horse, Brock Holt backing up. He will make the catch to the warning track. We take a look at these rocket arms presented by Quicken Loans. American League leaders now. Opponents' batting average. Right holding opponents to just a 172 clip. Chris Sale right in front of him at 165. King Felix there. And that Seattle team, which has started in very good form at 21-13. Here's Marisnick, the center fielder, batting .048. No homers, 1 run batted in. Right there to Shaw. And a fast inning for Wright. He gets him 1-2-3. And at the end of 1.5, 1-0. The Astros. Red Sox season in their 36th game in 1986. The Red Sox scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th for a walk-off win over the Rangers. Marty Barrett had 2 hits. He scored the winning run for the Red Sox. On a rainy night here, it is 1-0 Houston as we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Hanley Ramirez, Travis Shaw, Brock Holt against Lance McCullers. 22-year-old right-hander. That one headed for the hole and gets through for a base hit. The rainy grass really slowed that down.
Well, we've seen it so many times this season. Ramirez going to the opposite field, and that time finds the hole between first and second base. You can see where Altuve's playing him up the middle, and that leaves a big hole between first and second. And even though the ball wasn't hit all that hard, Hanley picks up the hit to lead off the inning.
So a 5-game hitting streak. Hitting .563 during it with 7 runs scored. And sends up Travis Shaw, checking in at .320 with 4 home runs.
Really coming down now here at Fenway. This is the hardest that we've seen it rain so far.
The 1-0 pitch he won't chase. Travis, one of 6 Red Sox starters batting over .300. Well, we remain hopeful. Hanley at first, nobody out. And the 2-0, high and tight.
Astros in the shift in the infield against Shaw. That would make a mistake ground ball at third base. Career, the shortstop, would have to be the pivot man at second base.
McCullers with a 3-0 pitch. Travis taking all the way in for a strike. The Paw Sox were rained out today at home, so tomorrow at 4:30 they play a single admission doubleheader at McCoy Stadium. Game 1 will be started by Eduardo Rodriguez.
That game was called very early this afternoon.
Hall of Famer Pedro Martinez expected to be there to see him. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. That is ball 4. And the Red Sox have something brewing. First and second, nobody out. Brock Holt coming up.
Yeah, no fastball for Shaw that time on the 3-1 count. He goes to the breaking ball, and pretty good job by Travis Shaw to stay off that. You know, in that situation, you're looking for a fastball, and anything off speed kind of fools you a little bit. But Shaw able to control ahead of the bat and takes the walk.
Brock Holt hitting .283, trying to keep that water off the top of that brim. He has hit safely in 17 straight games against Houston. Third baseman is in, and it's ball 1.
And Rasmus out left field, very shallow, so any kind of base hit to left field is going to be very difficult for Ramirez to score. See how close he's playing.
Ramirez at second, Shaw at first, and the 1-0. He may be having trouble with that baseball.
I'll tell you right now, it's tough to handle. It really is. You can see him constantly rubbing it up, and water gets on your arm and kind of slides down in your hand and becomes a real nuisance. And all that the mud starts to clump up in your cleats.
As ugly as tonight is at the moment, tomorrow's going to be that pretty. It'll be a beautiful day tomorrow. Sunny in the 70s. That's over but low. So the count goes to 3-0. He just walked Travis Shaw. Holt is 2 for 6 against McCullers in his career. And should be taking another, the 3-0, and that's a strike right at the top of the zone.
Just a pain for everything. That water gets on top of the helmets and it just drips down in front of your eyes.
He has a good count though with 2 on. 3-1 yank foul. So Brock Holt 17 straight against Houston he's hit in. That's tied for the longest streak by a Sox batter against the Astros since Dustin Pedroia hit it 17 in a row against them. That streak ended a couple of years ago. A spot where Brock Holt is usually very dependable getting the runners over anyway. Here comes the 3-2.
A tough pitch right there. That fastball was down and in on Holt, and Holt very fortunate to make some contact and foul the pitch off. That was in a great location by McCullers. His fastball has a natural little bit of movement at the end of it. I wouldn't call it a cut fastball, but sometimes it acts like that.
Runners lead at first and second. 1-0 Houston in the second inning. He foul tips it and the catcher cannot hang on. That was on a good hard curveball. McCullers features that as his strikeout pitch.
And that's the kind of breaks the Red Sox have been taking advantage of. You get the swing, you get a foul tip, and just out of the glove of Castro. Let's see if they can take advantage of it this time.
Anthony Ramirez started the inning with a base hit. Travis Shaw took a walk. Here comes the 3-2, and now Castro out from behind there. Sox fans, if you're looking for the best seats to the biggest games, check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace at RedSoxReplay.com. Best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. Red Sox with a threat in the second. McCullers is only 22 years old. He's one of the Astros' most prized arms. 3-2. Spoiled another one.
Yeah, good battle put on here. Good battle between McCullers and Holt, and Holt doing a good job fouling these pitches off.
Grounded foul again. Up against that tarp. We are hoping it stays right there.
That was a good job also by Holt. That was a changeup that time on the 3-2 count. He was out in front, but still makes contact and fouls it off again.
Well, he's seen everything McCullers has.
Yep.
Brock choking up a bit. Here comes the 3-2. And down and in. He walked him. That's a whale of an at bat. And the bases are loaded with Ryan Hanigan coming up.
Real good at bat there by Holt. What a job fouling off some very tough pitches and eventually drawing the base on ball. So a couple of walks, back-to-back walks after the base hit to lead off the inning.
I know it's a small sample. I don't know what you can make of it. But Hanigan has seen McCullers 4 times in his career, and he has 3 hits off him.
I'd feel pretty good going to the plate if those were my numbers.
Better than 0 for 4.
Yeah.
Overall, Ryan at 143, no homers, 2 runs batted in. No place to put him. Red Sox down 1-0 for the moment. And he takes strike 1. 370 in his career with the bases loaded. So it's Hanley Ramirez, Travis Shaw, and Brock Holt filling him up. One thing you can usually rely on Ryan Hanigan to do is give you a quality at bat in a spot like this.
Yeah, he'll make the pitcher work. There's no question about that.
So McCullers in trouble. A single and 2 walks, and the 1-1. 1-2.
That's that curveball you were talking about, Dave. Very tough pitch, especially when he starts it over the middle of the plate and it breaks away off the strike zone. A good example of that right there. That started middle of the plate, and you can see the spin on it, take it right out of the strike zone, and boy, tough for a hitter to pick up.
A ball and 2 strikes on a Red Sox catcher. Popped up foul territory. Gonzalez chasing over near the tarp and can't get to it. And a fan made a really nice play over there, it looked like. Yes, he did. He brought that glove to the ballpark, and man, did he use it.
Yeah, very close too to fan interference. But the top saved him. Able to reach over, make the great catch, and did not interfere with the players.
That's how it's done. So another swing coming for Hanigan with the bases loaded. And McCullers with a 1-2. Line shot toward the alley. Marisnik will not get it. all the way up against the bullpen fence. Hanley is in. Shaw is in. Holt slams on the brakes on a 2-run double, and the Red Sox have the lead.
He talked about giving a quality at bat, and that's exactly what Hannigan does there. Now, Marisnik in this situation was playing fairly shallow, and that ball finds the gap. Beautiful hitting here by Hannigan. Takes a fastball that's a little bit away and finds that gap in right center field. You see where Marisnik is. He's playing shallow, has to chase that back, and 2-run score without a problem. Butterfield puts on the brakes with nobody out. Holds Holt at third base.
And here we go again with the hottest hitter on the planet right now, Jackie Bradley, coming up, and 2 men in scoring position. He had 2 more hits last night to run his hitting streak to 18 in a row. And that's a strike. That's the longest active streak in the majors. The Red Sox have had some really fine at bats in this inning. Not just in this inning, but game after game as of late. The 0-1. Base hit. Holt is in to score. Handing into third. Heading into second, Jackie Bradley. He's there. 19 in a row.
Jackie did his job. You know, in that situation, with 2 men in scoring position, try to pull the ball with nobody out. Because if you make it out, you're going to advance a run home and also advance a man at third base. He does better than that. He gets a high breaking ball and pulls it as he should and finds the hole on the line. Right by the dive of Gonzalez at first base. I think if Brian Butterfield had to do that all over again, he probably would have waved the second run home, because I don't think Springer had any intention of throwing that ball to home plate. Looked like he was going to second base all the way, expecting 2 runs to score. But again, with nobody out, you don't want to take the chance.
And a batter will be Mookie Betts. So it's a 19-game hitting streak. You realize he has 26 RBIs during that hitting streak?
Yeah, that's incredible, Dave.
And just smoking one hit after another. All the doubles, the triples, and the home runs. You got to get to the ballpark early. The Red Sox are scoring a ton early. Mookie Betts 0 for 1.
So here's the same situation with Betts at the plate. Try to move the ball to the right side, because the infield's back with the exception of the first baseman. If you make it out on the ground, you get a run home and you get the man to third base. Or you get the bonus like Bradley did, the base hit.
Little trickler foul.
That's a tough pitch to move the other way. That's the slow breaking ball that time, the curveball from McCullers. Now with 2 strikes, you're pretty much on your own. Look at the head on McCullers, how he's got it whipped toward first base when he delivers that ball to the plate.
Looks like he's looking inside the Red Sox dugout.
Yeah.
Nobody there is going to help him. Red Sox ahead 3-1, pressing for more here in the second inning. And the 0-2 to Mookie. John Farrell was talking about the Red Sox scoring so early and often yesterday. It's the understatement of the season. He said, the more we can make that customary, we're probably in pretty good shape.
And they have been.
Yeah. Bounce that one right through the catcher. Here comes Hannigan. He's going to score. Jackie Bradley will trot into third. 4-1 Red Sox. Right through Castro.
Yeah, that's bad right there for Houston. You know, you got a man at third base and he lets it get through the 5-hole. That ball bounced way out in front of home plate, though. I'll give him that. But he came up on it a little bit, did not block it, and a gift run for the Red Sox. Now the infield comes in.
And still nobody out. So Betts can make it out and bring in Jackie Bradley. And the 2-2 from McCullers. Base hit into right field. Here comes Jackie Bradley. RBI for Mookie Betts, and another big inning for the Red Sox.
It's really been amazing, Obi. You know, you expect things to happen so early the way this offense has gone, and it has. I mean, you're stunned in the first inning when they don't score. Now they bounce back and they get 5 here in the second inning, right down the first base line to the left of Gonzalez. That was one of those fastballs that cut a little bit at the end, and you can see where it goes. Again, skipping on that grass and getting by the dive of Marwin Gonzalez.
Dustin Pedroia struck out looking in the first inning. Nobody out. The inning started with the Hanley Ramirez base hit, which frankly barely made it into right field. Feldman now beginning to warm in their bullpen, and then the back-to-back walks to Shaw and Holt. Hannigan with the double. He's now 4 for 5 against McCullers. Jackie Bradley ripping a base hit. Mookie Betts the same thing. And the Sox are off to the races yet again. The #1 scoring team in the majors. No longer just the American League. Line into right field, but it hangs up. Springer will make the catch. First out of the inning. And it's Dustin Pedroia now 0 for 2.
A good solid contact there, even on an out. You know, you don't want to hear that as a hitter. But the fact is, that was a very good swing by Pedroia. Unfortunately for him, right at Springer out there in right field.
That'll bring up Xander Bogaerts, who's already run his hitting streak to 8 in a row with a base hit in the first inning. Xander said of last night's 11-run barrage, he said, this is kind of like PlayStation. Only teams on PlayStation score this many runs. And he added, it's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Strike 1. And the Red Sox keep on scoring on this rainy Friday night. It's a Red Sox team that got off to a slow start in home runs, but he homered last night, and they've now homered in 13 in a row. You and I were talking about it in the early days of the season. We were kind of wondering where the power was, but at the same time believing it would come, and it has.
Yeah, there are too many good, home run hitters in the lineup for it not to come, and it was stunning to see the Red Sox last in the league in home runs and first in the league in runs. And then that changed on the last road trip you guys went on. It all changed.
Sox have now homered 28 times in the last 17 games. High chop to the third baseman Valbuena. Into second, on to first, and in time to turn 2. And that retires the side, but not before the Red Sox do it again. They explode for 5. They get 5 runs and lead it 5-1. Concert series. Tickets are on sale right now for that show. Visit redsox.com/Jason Aldean for more information. Well, the weather has certainly been a factor here tonight, but the Red Sox have just blown up for 5 runs as we go to the top half of inning number 3. That's behind Stephen Wright, and great to have Alex Spear of the Boston Globe with us. And I'm wondering, where do you buy your suits, because they look so sharp?
I'm just trying to follow the examples of you guys.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It almost looks like the exact same thing. This is something. This offense just continues to churn out runs in chunks.
The explosive big inning has been just something else, and it really is a testament to that idea that you have a 1 through 9 lineup where there aren't soft spots. And Mookie Betts, for instance, is if you look up and down the lineup, position by position relative to the rest of the American League, they've had above average production as measured by OPS at virtually every position of the lineup except for the leadoff spot. And that's where Mookie Betts is on pace for 28 homers and 35 steals.
Yeah.
So that's the weak link in the lineup.
That's the weak link, yeah.
And, granted, their catching production has been limited, but they're focused more on a defense first thing. And then, of course, you see Ryan Hanigan with a key 2-run double, with a key 2-run double there with the bases loaded. When you see Travis Shaw working a walk, followed by a 10-pitch walk by Brock Holt, that's where you have just something that other lineups don't feature. When you're getting down to the 6 guy, the 7 guy, and then obviously down to Bradley in the 9 hole, who's suddenly Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig wrapped into one package playing center field. That's something else that's going to wear down other teams.
Popped up into the raindrops, and Hanley over to the camera well and cannot get it as it drops into the cameras.
Alex, let's stay on Jackie Bradley. I mean, it's the obvious conversation right now. He's so hot, but I heard you talking in the pregame show today about, his minor league days, and I mean, he was this kind of player in the minor leagues.
He rediscovered the all-fields approach that was exactly who he was coming out of South Carolina as a first-round draft pick in the 2011 draft, and then again as he came up through the minor league system. He was a solar flare exploding onto the scene at the start of 2012 in High A Salem. He was performing as well as any player in minor league baseball for that initial chunk, those 3-4 months.
Altuve jumps back, and it's inside for ball 4.
And it was with that, I asked Xander Bogaerts about what was he doing back then that made him so impressive, and Bogaerts said he was shooting a double to left field first at bat of every game, and from there would be a walk on top of that. There would be a hit by pitch. He was really good at getting hit by pitches in the Carolina League, but he was hitting for a lot of that time in the 360s, 370s with an on-base percentage that verged on 500 for lengthy periods of time. And so when he goes on these hot streaks, we've now seen it a couple times at the major league level. We have to recall that there was a foundation of skill that he's demonstrated in the past that this is a reflection of. This isn't this when it happened last August. It wasn't a bolt from the blue, and now obviously we're seeing more data points that suggest a player with an ability to make a pretty interesting impact on the field.
George Springer, the batter here. He is 0 for 1 as we chat with Alex Spear, the Boston Globe. When you talk to Jackie, he is the least bit surprised by what he's doing.
He's always remained confident. He's always believed in his ability that he's shown over that period of his amateur and professional career. And so he says that his confidence wasn't eroded in 2014.
There's a shot headed to the wall. There goes Brock Holt. He'll play it off the 10, heading into third base. Altuve. It's going to be a long single for Springer, who really crunched one.
I don't know how you could make it through the 2014 season without having your confidence shaken in some ways when you end up finishing the year with a sub-200 batting average and not being that player who you've been through the entirety of your career. But he remained resolute, and believing in his skill set, believing in who he could be as a hitter, and he worked awfully hard in that offseason of 2014 and 2015 to put himself on the path that we're seeing now.
Here comes Carlos Correa, who struck out in the first inning as we chat with Alex. Runners on at first and third. 5-1 Boston already in front here as the Red Sox go for a 6th consecutive win. And that is upstairs for a ball. I want to ask you about Eduardo Rodriguez, because he's going to pitch tomorrow in game 1 of a doubleheader for the Paw Sox. Weather's supposed to be very good. He should have no problem getting that in. But where is he, and where are the Red Sox on Rodriguez as far as his return?
It should be an interesting one, because thus far in his minor league rehab assignment, he hasn't been the same pitcher that we saw last year, and he wasn't the same pitcher he was in AAA last year or at the major league level with that just blow the doors down fastball.
Fly ball on a right field line, but that's going to go foul.
He has been more in the kind of high 80s to low 90s for a number of these starts. He's started having a couple more 92s, 93s working into the mix, but that pure swing and miss fastball, the one that he could just say, here it comes. Well, I guess he couldn't because he was tipping and then he got hit real hard during that stretch, but almost could be a pitcher who you knew that he was going to be throwing fastball in fastball counts and he could still get a swing and miss. That has not been the case so far during his rehab assignment.
1-1 line drive caught by Pedroia, back to first base, and going to double him up. Springer caught off on a wicked line drive, just like that, with a runner at third, 2 away.
Well, that's big because this could have been a big inning for the Astros, and another ball that's hit hard, but it's right at Pedroia. Pedroia very quickly making that throw back to first base. You know, when you're behind in the ball game, the secondary lead to me has to be cut down a little bit for a base runner because you always run the risk of that happening, a double play that can take you out of a possible big inning.
And this is an Astros team that's desperate for runs. They've had as many games where they haven't scored more than 2 runs as any in baseball, so those finer points of execution can absolutely undo you.
Toby Rasmus here. He had an infield single his first time up. 5-1 Red Sox with Altuve at third base.
Getting back to Rodriguez, they need to see someone who looks a little bit more like his prior self. And that's not a fault of his necessarily. The injury that he had was pretty bad. When you're talking about a kneecap kind of sliding in and out of place, that's frightening.
Yes.
And it means you have to ease off on all of the work you have to do on your legs, which means less power in terms of what you're going to be able to do on the mound. So there's a real process there that he has to follow. He's still in the middle of that process. Maybe in his next outing, maybe tomorrow, he's able to show that he's close to the end of it. The guy who's looked closer to the end of it is Joe Kelly, given that he finished his last outing with 97 and 98.
A ball and a strike on Rasmus. Lets that one go down low to make it 2-1.
The other interesting thing about Rodriguez is that you aren't in a rush necessarily to see him come back because the Red Sox are still kind of in a mode where they have to figure out what's happening with Clay Buchholz. And so once Rodriguez is ready, you have this interesting dilemma associated with 6 guys, 5 rotation spots.
Bunt attempt but fouled away.
And you don't really have the opportunity to figure out what every one of them is. So there is some benefit to taking a deliberate approach in not cutting any corners with Rodriguez, making sure that his health is positioned in the best possible way going forward, and also figuring out exactly what you have with the rest of your guys.
I think there's 2 factors with Rodriguez, and I think you hit it right on the butt. You know, the fact that his legs are not in shape. They're not in game shape, right? He's like spring training. He's like the end of spring training for him right now. And, you know, I think once the legs get strong and he gets confidence, more confidence in the knee, I think all that's going to fall into place. Because when you've had a knee injury like that, and you know, obviously it affects your delivery to home plate. When you haven't been able to run to keep your legs strong, I mean, he's not at that point yet probably where he's strong enough to get that velocity.
And of course, you know, they want him to be a difference maker. They don't want to force him back at a time when, you know, when you start to deplete him and run down the resource that you have.
3-2 pitch. Tried to hold up and he went strike 3. Boy, that double play was huge for the Red Sox. Alex, always a treat. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Love the suit. 5-1 Boston.
Especially for these guys down here in Canvas Alley where everyone is on call. The umpires wave at the end of the half inning. This crew runs out there and throws more conditioner down on the wet spots. As you can see, they're walking away from the field right now, guys. That's pretty good news. That means they don't expect to be called out of the field anymore. Not raining as hard as David Ortiz walks up to the plate. OB?
TC, thank you very much. Keep them walking in that direction as Big Poppy takes down low for a ball. David struck out in the first inning. Red Sox ahead 5-1. Another crooked number in the second inning for this Red Sox offense. David with 30 RBIs. He is now tied with Jackie Bradley for club high honors. Jackie's already driven in a run tonight. And a bounding ball over first. That's a fair ball. Gonzalez will flip to the pitcher McCullers for the out. And David Ortiz is 0 for 2.
Looked like that ball was going to roll foul, but it hit the line. It looked like it stayed in fair territory. Gonzalez right there to make the play and feed McCullers, who was doing his job covering first base. With the ball low in contact, I thought it was going to go foul, but it did stay in fair territory, that last bounce, keeping it fair.
That'll set up Hanley Ramirez, who has a base hit and a run scored. He was the first man to score tonight in that second inning after going 3 for 3 with an RBI last night. He's hitting .318. Of the top 10 hitters in the American League, 4 of them are Red Sox. Down and in for a ball. Hanley has now reached base in 20 consecutive games. And a 2-0. He lays off into the dirt for ball 3. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings now. Play free daily using promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. The rain has lightened up considerably since last inning. That's a great sign. That's in there for a strike. More of a mist at the moment.
And this is more like it was when we started the ball game.
One man out, the 3-1. He fouls it back. Now, he had a wet first couple of innings. Did you go upstairs in between innings and did you change your uniform?
Not usually as a position player. Maybe the pitcher may do that, change the undershirt or something like that, but not generally, Dave. You just kind of ride it out, you know.
Soaking wet.
Yeah.
The 3-2. Check swing. The pitcher McCullers throws to get him and just nipped him at first base. So 2 down. Ace Ticket is Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets with the best seats at the lowest prices, all with a 200% guarantee. Treat yourself or someone special visiting aceticket.com or call 1-800-MY-SEATS.
No, that didn't look like very much, but that was a good play by McCullers because Hanley was certainly inside that white line going down the first base line, and had the ball hit him in the back, he would have been out. I'm quite sure the umpires would have called him out. McCullers made a good throw to first base to get the out.
That one stung. A liner into left. Rasmus going back. That slams into the wall. Travis wants a double. It's cut. The throw, and the tag is waiting for him, and he is cut down at second base, and that will retire the side. That's all for the Red Sox, who lead it 5-1 at the end of 3. Fred Lynn hit for the cycle as the Red Sox defeated the Twins 10-5 at Fenway. The 14th time in Red Sox history a player hit for the cycle. Been a lot of talk lately comparing Jackie Bradley to a young Fred Lynn.
Well, that's pretty good company if you're starting to talk like that about Jackie Bradley Jr. And there's no reason not to at this particular time.
19-game hitting streak with power. Marwin Gonzalez will lead things off here in the 4th inning. Red Sox ahead 5-1 as they bid for 6 in a row. RBI single for him in the 1st inning. Wright's pitch is pop foul back out of play. Gonzalez hit a walk-off 2-run homer in the 16th inning on Wednesday afternoon to beat Cleveland. It's the latest in a game in franchise history. They've had a walk-off in the regular season. It was the game they played right before they came here. And the 0-2. He trickled that one foul. It came back up to hit him inside the box.
A little different pitch that time. It was a curveball from right, and you could see Hannigan tapping the ground. He wanted that curveball low, and that's exactly where he got it. There's the breaking ball. It's got to be outside, but just tapped by Gonzalez. So now we've seen all 3 pitches. For Wright, the fastball, the curveball, and a knuckleball.
Valbuena on deck, and then Carlos Gomez. Here's the 0-2. Let's talk to Ryan Hannigan before the game about that spike that he took high up on the arm. When Butler stepped on his arm the other day, he gave me a look at it. It still looks nasty. And he was shaking it off like, no, that happens all the time. Stuff like that happens all the time. That's the life of a catcher. But man, does he get beat up. Here's the 1-2. He went to the fastball that he missed. Here's a close-up. This is about as close as you want to get.
Yeah, those scars, some of those might be there a long, long time.
2-2. High fly into left field. Brock Holt backing up, plenty of room. And we'll make that catch. 1 man out. Don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC and Steve Lyons break it all down. You will hear from Stephen Wright and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. One thing I asked Ryan Hannigan was, do you think it's true that catchers kind of bounce back quicker than everybody else and have a higher tolerance for pain? Because you really have to in that position. And he believes that's absolutely true.
I would have to agree with him. I mean, I've never caught, obviously, in a major league game, but I can't imagine what that's like, you know, to get beat up the way they get beat up and then be able to bounce back the next day and get after it again.
And I would say, you know, even within one at bat, you take a foul tip off the wrist
Sure.
or off the arm or off the knee, whatever it is. You know, the game doesn't stop for very long. You've got to get right back at it. Those two both know that feeling. Here's the 0-1. And of course, in Hannigan's case, he is also required to catch Stephen Wright, which is a night and a half of work when it's really moving. Rope toward right. That one heading for the pesky pole. Did he hook it too much? Indeed he did. A foul ball.
Now there's a case right there with a lack of velocity on the knuckleball caused that ball to go foul. That's a pretty good swing right there by Valbuena, but hooking it to the right of the foul pole. The knuckleball just stayed middle of the plate. Good swing, but because of the velocity out in front of it, or lack of velocity, I should say.
1-2 coming. Hard ground ball, takes a big hop, but Hanley's there, and he'll do it himself. He tells Stephen Wright to back off, and that is out number 2.
A little different pitch that time from Wright is after the pull that knuckleball foul, he comes with the fastball inside. And the result, the ground ball to first base. See Hannigan set up inside. You know a fastball's coming then. So again, mixing up his pitches in this game tonight.
And the rain picking up again. It's tougher and tougher and brutally tough after that first inning. Here's Gomez. He is 0 for 1 with a pop to the shortstop. Red Sox ahead 5-1. Got all 5 in the second inning against McCullers. That's a strike.
And see Gomez uses that open stance where he has that left leg way open toward the third base line. But the key is closing it up and getting back square with the pitcher. And that's exactly what he tries to do. Brings it back in to the hitting position.
Back to the fastball. We're seeing more fastballs from him.
Yeah, we have. We've seen fastballs, and as you mentioned, a couple of curveballs, the knuckleball. Knuckleball this time.
Trying to put him away, and he just gets a piece of it. He takes a big swing.
And you watch games consistently, and you watch the catcher's signs with nobody on base, and you see that wiggle. That's usually a changeup, but not for Wright. For Wright, that's his knuckleball.
So far he has scattered 4 hits, the 1-2, and drifted just off the outside.
Knuckleball that almost acted like a curveball. You see the movement at the end breaking away.
I'll tell you what, Gomez is about to screw himself into the ground with some of these swings.
He's of the belief, let it fly, right? Even with 2 strikes. Swing hard and hope you hit it.
He is yet to homer. 2-2. And down he goes. Almost fell on top of the plate. So Wright gets him 1-2-3. Red Sox coming up. Expecting more. You can watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams in true high definition on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, and Tom Caron with you on a rainy night at Fenway, but a good night so far. Once again, as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning, 5-1. The Sox have the lead, so a lot of smiles tonight from the Red Sox offense. Yet again, more production. Brock Holt was part of the uprising in the 2nd inning against McCullers when he walked and scored. He had a terrific at bat. There's got to be something to this. He played at Rice University right there in Houston. The fact that he's hitting 17 straight against the Astros, and he's a native Texan, it's got to be something to him.
We were kind of talking about that with Pedroia against the Oakland Athletics. Pedroia from that area has had great success against Oakland. Same thing for Brock Holt.
Brings out the best in them as that's fouled away. Ryan Hanigan and Jackie Bradley, who's now hit safely in 19 straight games, to hit in this inning. Red Sox ahead 5-1. Softly rolled to second. Altuve. So one away, and Hanigan, who's had the biggest hit for the Red Sox, 2-run double back in the second inning, will step in next.
That's interesting. You know, we saw that was a changeup that time for the ground ball out, and last time up Holt had a big at bat. It ended up in a walk, but he fouled off a couple of changeups that kept that bat going, and then of course the Red Sox did all the damage after that.
In for a strike. Sox have won 10 of the last 13, 14 of the last 18. They've won 7 in a row at home. A couple of these wins have come against very, very good pitchers. They put up 8 runs against Dallas Keuchel, the reigning American League Cy Young. Also beat up on Sonny Gray. He's one of the best in the American League during this homestand. He's not having a good year. Neither one of those guys are having great seasons, but they are certainly capable of having a big night.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, with these consistently good pitches is, you know, even though they're struggling, I mean, you expect them to pitch well.
Red Sox really jumped on both of those guys. The 1-2 pitch will be down and away.
I mean, just because a guy like Sonny Gray is struggling, or Keuchel, for example, you know, they can turn it on any time. So, you know, you've got to be ready for every one of their starts, because they're quality pitchers, and you never know when they're going to get that thing turned around. You just hope it's not against you.
Here's the 2-2. Swung on and miss. It gets away from Castro. Hanigan will have to run, and the throw will get him for the strikeout. So 2 away. And Jackie Bradley coming up.
A nice play by Castro, the catcher, because he had a pretty good distance to go get this ball. Hanigan didn't realize it was not caught at the beginning. Then when he turned and saw the catcher chasing it down, that's when he took off the run to first base. And again, picking up a wet baseball, but making a pretty good throw to first base to get the out.
Fastball outside on JBJ, who is 29 for 69 during this hitting streak, with 26 RBIs. Look at what he's hitting now, 333. He tags one foul to make it 1-1.
That's your 9 hitter of the lineup. And John Farrell was asked about that yesterday. Any consideration of moving him up in the lineup? He said, why? He said everybody else is hitting too.
McCullers 1-1. Chop foul. Jackie in the last 5 games has driven in 15 runs. As you say, out of the 9 slot, Mookie Betts will follow, given a chance in this inning. Red Sox ahead 5-1 in the 4th. One-two from McCullers. He bounced it.
Trying to change up that time against Bradley Jr. and as you mentioned, they bounced it well out in front of home plate. Not even something that was tempting to swing at. There's the grip on the changeup, and you can see how far in front of the plate that bounce. He could almost have hit it on a bounce. The way he's swinging the bat, he might have got a hit on it.
Here's the 2-2. Foul back. Well, 2 nights ago, he drove in 6 runs and hit 2 home runs. And everything he hits, he barrels up. The 2-2 from McCullers, trying to make it a 1-2-3 4th inning. And time is asked for and granted before the pitch. Look at that. 49 of the last 89 hits have gone for extra bases. That's going back to last season. 2-2. Waved at and missed for strike 3. So it's a fast inning for McCullers. Red Sox go in order through 4. 5-1 Boston. Desktop, web, or mobile device? Well, what are you waiting for? Visit NESN.com/schedule and download today. They keep on working on the diamond. The rain really hasn't stopped. It has subsided from time to time to a heavy mist, but then picks up again. As we go to the 5th inning, it's a half inning away from becoming an official game. And the Red Sox with a 5-1 lead. And here's Castro, the batter, taking ball 1. Tomorrow afternoon, the next game of this series, Clay Buchholz against Colin McHugh at 1:05. Weather conditions are supposed to be spectacular. About 75 and sunny.
That'd be nice.
2-0. And on Sunday, this homestand wraps up. The Red Sox will be heading for Kansas City for 3 games against the defending world champs. But that's just a 3-game trip. Into left center. On the run, Jackie Bradley's going to watch it hit the wall. Into second base, Castro, and the throw is not in time. He's got himself a double.
You watch Castro slide into second base, and because of the wet surface, he almost just sticks before he reaches the bag. Jackie plays this very well off that center field wall, gets it back in, and when Castro goes into the slide at second base, he almost stops. You can see right there how he slows up because it's a little bit muddy out there. But he's able to use that pop-up slide to get the foot on the bag.
That's their 5th hit. Here's Marisnick, who bunts. Right had charged it. The scoop, safe. Into third base is Castro. The right had to go from darting in to darting to his left to scoop it up, and could not get him.
That's a great bunt right there by Marisnick. Because he got it to a point where Wright had to field it. Now watch Pedroia come in. They want Pedroia to field these bunts. They want Ramirez going to first base, but it never got out far enough for Dustin. So it's Wright that had to shovel the ball to first base. And you can see clearly right there that Marisnick did beat that down the first base line. The Red Sox were taking another look at it, but they saw on replay the same thing we did.
Riznik had been 0 for 15. He's on with a single. That brings up Altuve, who has not made an out. He has singled and taken ball 4. The All-Star second baseman. That pops out of the mitt, but no advance by the runners. Altuve having an excellent individual season, even though as a team the Astros are not having a good year. That's upstairs for a ball. First and third for Houston. Red Sox up 5-1, but now the hits are even at 6. And the 2-0. Line but foul. That one hit wickedly into and then out of the seats.
Even on the 2-0 count, the knuckleball from Wright did not want to give in with a fastball to Altuve on the 2-0 count. There's the knuckler, pulled foul. Again, not a lot of movement on that particular knuckleball, but slow enough for him to pull it foul.
2-1 pitch. Line drive into right field for a base hit. That'll bring in Castro to score. Marisnik up to second. That'll make it 5-2. Altuve just keeps on hitting, doesn't he?
He's just a real good player. I mean, there's no question about that as he takes this one to the opposite field. He's way up in the batter's box against Wright, too. His back foot is about even with the back of the plate. And a lot of guys will do that now. I'll be curious to see if Altuve changes that when he faces a conventional pitcher. But a lot of guys will move up in the box, try to get that thing before it breaks.
Here's George Springer. He's gone 1 for 2 with a single. Nobody out. And 3 consecutive hits to begin this inning for Houston. He'll take ball 1. Springer joining Mike Trout, Brian Dozier, and Manny Machado as the only American League players with 20 steals, 40 homers, and 100 RBIs since 2014. Another stop here by Hannigan.
His way, Hannigan really has his work cut out for him. The knuckleball with a couple of men on base. You don't want to put 2 men in a scoring position or allow 2 men to get in a scoring position. That ball darting down and away, and to the backhand goes Hannigan to knock it down. Battling it the whole way.
Big swing and a miss. He really wound up on that one, and the count is 2-1.
A little bit harder that time from Wright. 75 on that last knuckleball. And he does get that late movement on it.
Wright's 2-1. Hammered into the alley. Nobody out there. It's onto the grass. It'll keep on all the way to the fence. Marisnik is in. Altuve rounding third. Throw comes into third base as he scores. 2 more runs coming in here for Houston. On a shot into the alley by Springer. He drives in his 18th and 19th runs, and that makes it 5-4.
And to the phone goes John Farrell very quickly. They will start to get loose up in the bullpen for the Red Sox. Kyle Willis coming out to have a conversation. Matt Barnes first out of the chute.
And nobody out. And the batter will be Carlos Correa. Carl Willis coming out.
Here's the knuckleball again, and that one a little bit flat. It stays in the outside part of the plate, but that's very good hitting by Springer. Finds that gap out in the right center field. 2 runs come across with Altuve at first base. No problem for him to score. So now you get a ball game again.
1-run game. And a very dangerous hitter about to stand in. 5-4 Red Sox. So this one has taken a dramatic turn. This is the hardest we have seen Wright knocked around in some time. His pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. The next pitch will be his 80th of the ball game. Correa has struck out, and he's also hit into a double play, lined into one in the 3rd inning. They have the tying run at second. So the Red Sox had a 5-1 lead. But most of that has disappeared. And a 1-0 pitch. Correa with excellent power. He's hit 27 home runs in his first 134 major league games. Most by a shortstop since 1913. Ranking in front of Nomar Garciaparra, who had 24 in his first 134 games.
Yeah, kind of a strange stat, Dave, but in the 5th inning of any one of the starts this year for Wright, he had not allowed a hit. He's allowed 4 this inning,
including 2 doubles. Check swing, and it's a little low. And one thing this Astro team does well is take ball 4. They lead the American League in walks taken. And there's one. So Correa will take the walk. That'll put him on at 1st and 2nd. Long inning here for Wright.
so hard to predict the knuckleball, and it's very tough to manage, you know, because you just don't know when it's going to leave him or it's going to come back. It's very difficult to read, much more difficult than, you know, the conventional style pitcher. Tough on managers.
I remember Terry Francona, much of the time he had Tim Wakefield. Even when Wake was pitching great, he had one foot on the top step. Here's Rasmus. He has singled and struck out. He swings for the fences as well. Nobody out and 2 on, and 3 runs in for Houston. And the 0-1 from the knuckleballer. And across for a called strike. Rasmus has driven in 28 runs. He's been a big producer for them. Here comes the 0-2. Bounding ball to Hanley Ramirez. He'll take it, look at second, go to first. He got the shore out. The runners up to second and third.
Well, that was kind of weird at second base. Did you see Correa going in the second base? He slid and ended up about 5 feet in front of the bag. Hanley spun in that direction, but I don't think he could see Bogaerts, and that's why he didn't throw to second base.
But that diamond drive's really working.
Let's take a look right here. You can see Correa going to second base, and he slides, and he's not even close to the bag. He must have thought they were trying to make a play on him at second base and was sliding out of the way of a throw. Did Bogaerts deke him on that?
May have. He made some sort of a signal there to Hanley. Here's Marwin Gonzalez, who's gone 1 for 2 with a base hit. And a go-ahead run in scoring position for Houston all of a sudden. 4 hits and a walk in this inning for the Astros. A real struggle for Wright. And a high pop-up. Down the line, Shaw and Bogaerts over near the seats, and it's out of everybody's range.
Take another look at that play at second base. Bogaerts is waiting for a possible throw from Hanley Ramirez. Now let's see if he does anything. No, he's actually telling the runner to stand up because there was not going to be a throw there. So Correa was just sliding on his own and came up a little bit short.
A little bit short.
Tough play by the base runner because you don't know if the ball's coming in your direction or not. You don't trust the infielders, that's for sure.
1 ball and 1 strike on Gonzalez. He pops it up. That's going to twist and back off near the stands. Hannigan to give it a look. So now 1-2. Stephen Wright came in with the 3rd best ERA in the American League, 1.52. That's jumped up to 2.17. He's only had a couple of strikeouts tonight, but he could really use one right here. 2 men in scoring position. And off the mid of Hannigan, but nobody can move up.
Well, that high one's tough because you reach up for it and all of a sudden it dips on you. And you can see what happened that time to Hannigan. Fortunately for him, he got enough leather on it where it didn't go that far away and it held a runner at 3rd base. But there's the high one. You put the glove up and then the ball dips. And you can see it hit it right off the bottom of the glove and fortunately did not go that far.
2-2. Runners at 2nd and 3rd for the Astros. And just a bit low. Looked like at the bottom of the strike zone as we saw things, but Fletcher said no.
Another look. Knuckleball dipping late, but as it went across the plate, it looked like it was at the bottom of the strike zone, but where Hannigan caught it, it was down low near the dirt.
So full count. 3-2 on Gonzalez. Line shot. Jackie Bradley closing, but it's going to drop in for a base hit. 1 run is in. They'll hold a runner at 3rd base, and this game is tied 5-5 as Correa stops at 3rd. Gonzalez on a 3-2 pitch picks up his 2nd RBI. Here comes John Farrell. 5 hits in the inning off of Wright. We haven't seen really anything quite like that this season as he gets knocked around for the first time. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Kia. We got a brand new ball game here. Barnes coming in, and we're locked up 5-5. The Astros have tied at 5-5, and now with 1 out, they have a runner at 3rd base, and John Farrell forced to make a pitching change. You go to the bullpen for Matt Barnes, who will make his 15th appearance, 2-1 at .265 earned run average. And brought on to face Luis Valbuena who's gone 0 for 2. He has flied to left and grounded to first base. Runners at first and third. That was an ugly inning for Wright. Surrendering 5 hits and 4 runs so far. The runners aboard do belong to him. Valbuena, home run hitter last year, hit 25 of them. Only 1 so far this season. Checks a swing at a pitch in the dirt and did not go as it scooted away from Hannigan, but the runners stay put.
I think Gonzalez a little upset with himself at first base for not going to second on that, because that ball did carry him quite a distance from Hannigan. If he goes to second base, you get 2 men in scoring position and you take that possible double play away, but you can see him looking at it right there and probably felt he didn't have enough.
Barnes with a 1-0 pitch. He held up there and it was a little high. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Didn't see as much movement out of the knuckleball tonight, did you?
Not quite. No, obviously not like last time out against New York. It just seemed like it was not very consistent for Stephen Wright tonight.
So he goes out after 4 1/3, and that one is a high pop-up. Third baseman Shaw backing up along the line. Bogaerts comes in behind him, and it's caught fair ground. And that's the second out.
That's a huge out for Barnes right there. You got the man at third base, and you reduce that high fly ball to the infield, so the runners can't advance. Foul territory, back to fair territory for Shaw.
So here's Carlos Gomez, hitless tonight, a pop to the shortstop and a strikeout. So he is 0 for 2. 2 down and 2 on for Houston. Red Sox have due up in the bottom of the 5th inning. Betts, Pedroia, and Bogaerts, top of the order. They have had some activity in the Astro bullpen. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Gomez. Knocked foul on a play to the right.
Well, it's been a very long inning, and McCullers has been sitting there a long time in that dugout for the Astros. Maybe that's why they're getting some activity going down in the bullpen.
And Scott Feldman, for the second time, starts to heat up. The 1-1 to the slumping Gomez. Fisted foul. And again, nothing but heat in on the thumbs. Barnes trying to get out of the inning. Altuve's been part of this uprising with an RBI single. He has scored a run. They've scored 4 times here in this frame. Here's the pitch. Runner at first goes. It's high, throw down to third, and not in time.
Red Sox had no intentions of throwing through in that situation. The second base, not a middle infielder at all, covering the bag. The whole plan in that attempt was to try to go to third base, see if they could catch that runner coming down the line. You see the second base wide open. Nobody covers. They don't want to give up their position. So that's determined, obviously, before the pitch, whether they're going to throw through or not. And that time Hannigan takes a shot at third base.
So base hit could mean 2. 5-5 our score. 2-2 on Gomez. And Barnes fires. Cut on and missed. He got him. But the Astros do get 4 to tie it. Friday the 13th. More on that with our man TC when we return.
phobia, which of course is the fear of the number 13. It is Friday the 13th, but something to think about. Earlier this week, the Red Sox scored 13 or more runs in 3 straight games for the first time in history, and Hanley Ramirez, wearing number 13, is having his best year defensively in a long, long time. In fact, he told me by the end of this season, 13 will be a lucky number in New England. And for these folks here in suite number 13, it's not an unlucky number at all. You guys feeling lucky tonight? There you have it. OB, do you have triskaidekaphobia?
I don't think I do. Remdog might.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I might. Nice job, TC.
Thank you. I had to look that word up. I appreciate that.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
Glad it was you pronouncing it. Well done. Mookie Betts will lead things off here in last half of the 5th inning. A 5-5 tie, so a new ball game. McCullers, the starter, still out there for Houston. Mookie is grounded to short and singled in a run. Part of a 5-run second inning for the Red Sox. He's been talking about all these runs. He said, you know, from the outside looking in, it's not normal. But inside, meaning inside that dugout, it's like, well, that's a good bat. That's a good trip to the plate. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's how he looks at it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dustin Pedroia on deck, and then Xander Bogaerts. High fly, but a routine play as Springer backs up, and shy of the track will make the play. Lexus has developed the Lexus Strikeout Hunger program in partnership with Nesson and the Greater Boston Food Bank. Visit your Boston area Lexus dealer in May to donate non-perishable food items. You can also enter for a chance to win a Nesson VIP ballpark experience. For more information, visit Nesson.com/Lexus. Dustin Pedroia 0 for 2. He has struck out looking and fly to right.
Now McCullers done a nice job settling down in this game. 5 runs in the second inning, but since then has been very stingy with Red Sox hitters.
I raved about him last year. He was only 21 years old, but they talked about his poise, his presence, his command out there. Much like Travis Shaw did as a position player, those are 2 guys with major league bloodlines. McCullers is the son of Lance McCullers, who pitched in the big leagues for about 7 years. Popped up along the first base side. Gonzalez had a catcher there, and Gonzalez will make the play. 2 down.
That's a correct play by Gonzalez. Call off the catcher if you can get there. It's a much easier play for that first baseman coming in than it is for a catcher going toward first base. Well, Gonzalez playing that one correctly.
Look at his pitching line. Is brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. You're right, he has settled in. He's 79 pitches right now. Still very much in the game in a 5-5 tie. Xander Bogaerts will step up, having gone 1 for 2 with a base hit. Number 5 in the American League in batting average. Base is empty with 2 down in the 5th. McCullers, as a rookie last year, went 6-7 with a 3.22 ERA, helping the Astros win a wild card.
That fastball velocity still there, 95, 96 miles an hour, 96 on the last fastball, down at the knees.
The 0-2 skipped up there. David Ortiz waiting on deck.
That's happened a number of times with McCullers tonight, where he's thrown that changeup and it's bounced to well out in front of home plate. He's thrown it about 2 or 3 times where it's done that.
Fouled back, punched off into the crowd by Xander. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. Adam Pellerin and Steve Lyons will preview Clay Buchholz's start coming up tomorrow, plus highlights from around the American League East. 1-2. He checked his swing. Orioles are home taking on the Tigers tonight. They're 0-0 in the 6th inning. Tied with the Red Sox atop the division. Those Baltimore Orioles. There's a shot. Drilled high and deep. Headed near the top of the wall and is off the green. Bogaerts wants second. Marisnick will fire, and it's way too late, and it is a double. He's 2 for 3.
At both hits tonight, Fazenda coming on the breaking ball. First time to the opposite field, this time pulling it. Not a lot of break on it, but a lot of spin. And at first left the bat, I thought it had enough for a home run. And so did Bogaerts. He wasn't quite sure, though. He puts the hands out. And the ball hits right at the top of the wall. Didn't miss a home run by very much.
And slides into second with a 2-bagger, so a single and a double for him tonight. Chatting up Correa, 2 of the great young shortstops. And now they're going to put on David Ortiz. He'll be walked intentionally here, so A.J. Hinch will not mess with him. He'll go after Hanley Ramirez instead.
Yeah, no surprise here, really. I mean, you know, Red Sox have so many guys that are hot right now, but it always remains, especially if there's a right-hander out there, you don't want Ortiz to beat you. So with first base open, they're going to walk in and they're going to make Hanley try to beat him.
3rd time this season that Ortiz will be intentionally walked. That'll put him on at first and second with 2 down, and there's ball 4. Tuesday, May 24th is David Ortiz Canvas Night at Fenway. The first 15,000 in attendance receive a David Ortiz commemorative canvas print courtesy of Enios. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos or 877 Sox 9. Well, Hinch comes out, and McCullers did settle in. He got the first 2 men in this inning, then gave up the double that almost got out, and he departs. They'll go to the bullpen. That'll be Feldman coming in. 5-5, and we'll be back with more in just a moment at Fenway. Learn all about stomach disease this month from experts at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Visit bidmc.org/yourhealth. The Red Sox threatening first and second. They've knocked the starter McCullers out of the game. And the 6'7" Scott Feldman will enter the fray here against Hanley Ramirez.
See the numbers for Feldman, 8 appearances, a total of 26 2/3 innings, 28 hits allowed, and 20 strikeouts.
So the Astros walking David Ortiz intentionally and have a righty-righty situation here with Hanley, who has singled and grounded out. His last 4 games, he has 9 hits, 5 RBIs. 0 for 3 against Feldman. And we're tied 5 apiece here in the 5th. 2 down. Ball 1. Hanley is in the midst of an 11-game home hitting streak. Now hitting .316. He has Bogaerts at second and Ortiz at first. And the 1-0. Fouled away.
That's a couple of times tonight. Hanley's had some pretty good pitches to hit on the inside part of the plate, but has fouled them off, and you can see that he's upset that he missed this pitch. That's a good pitch to pull, and that's looked like what Hanley was trying to do with it.
Travis Shaw would hit next if given the opportunity. Here's the 1-1 home. Rattle to third. Balbuena will go to the bag, and he'll get there in time, right in front of the sliding Xander Bogaerts. So Feldman gets out of the inning, and at the end of 5 at Fenway, Red Sox 5 and the Astros 5. Sports Today, we have the best from Patriots rookie camp. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. On to the 6th inning at Fenway. We're locked up 5-5. Dave O'Brien, Jerry Remy, and Tom Caron with you. Red Sox had a 5-1 lead in this game. Stephen Wright knocked out in the 5th inning. And we are dead even as Jason Castro begins the 6th. And he takes a strike from Matt Barnes. Castro 1 for 2 with a double, and he scored a run. So both of these teams have had a big inning. For the Sox, it was the second, a 5-run second, and for Houston, a 4-run 5th. And the 0-1. Marisnick on deck, and then Altuve. The Red Sox have not gotten out, but nobody seems to. He's an outstanding player and always seems to be on base. He has scored twice in this one. And Barnes with a 1-1. He drops it in there.
That's 3 curveballs in a row from Matt Barnes. All 3 pitches breaking balls here to Castro to start off the top of the 6th inning.
Rain coming down very lightly at the moment. The 1-2 left it high with a heater at 96.
Yeah, after 3 curveballs down low, he tries the fastball upstairs, see if he'll chase it, but he did not. Elevate the fastball, that time up and out of the strike zone, and no chase by Castro.
Here's the 2-2. Punched up the middle for a base hit. That was another curveball. Went to 1 too many. Time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. And here's Adam Pellerin. Adam, thank you very much. Leadoff man is on here for Houston in the 6th.
See how they play this with Marisnik up. See if they bunt and try to get a man in a scoring position.
He bunted his way on the last time. He knocks that foul. Shaw was charging in from third base.
Yeah, playing in very tight at third base, but no sign of a bunt there. That was a full hack. You see Travis Shaw highlighted as he's just about at the edge of the grass.
Here's the 0-1 to Marisnik. He had been 0 for 15 before a bunt single in the 5th.
Slump break is right, the bunt. Certainly was tonight. And the last at bat for Marisnik.
He's a former Toronto Blue Jay. Castro with a very short lead. Here's the 1-1. He does show bunt, went right through it. He offered at it.
You know, that was not sacrificing either. That was bunting for a base hit. You can see him trying to drop this ball down the third base line, and it was, I don't think it was a sacrifice attempt, because you can see him running to first base. I think he was trying to bunt for a base hit. Shaw coming in quickly at third base. Now can drop back deeper with 2 strikes.
He's been throwing a lot of curveballs here. Here's the 1-2. Foul back out of play. Went back to number 1. Altuve on deck. You don't normally think of Altuve as a home run threat, but he's hit 9 of them. As many as David Ortiz. Pretty remarkable. At his size, to be a power hitter, the 1-2 got a piece.
And Barnes throwing a lot of pitches to the number 9 hitter in this particular at bat. Marisnik putting up a good at bat against Matt Barnes.
We're in the top half of the 6th inning, a 5-5 tie between the Sox and the Astros. And the 1-2 looking for the put away pitch. Check swing. They appeal, and no, says Toby Basner.
That's a good call at first base. I don't think there's any way that he did go around on that.
Houston struck first for a run in the 1st inning against Stephen Wright. Red Sox had one of their what's become customary innings with a 5-run second. But then Houston tied it with 4 in the 5th. And here we are, 5-5. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. He overthrew that one.
It almost seems like Barnes has more confidence in his breaking ball tonight than he does his fastball. That fastball running up and out of the strike zone. When he comes back with on the 3-2 count, and we'll also see if they have Castro going at first base.
John Farrell is on the bullpen horn, and they're going to start to scurry around down there. 3-2 to Marisnick. Cut on and missed, and down he goes. Well, he blew him away there at 96.
Yeah, so much for not having the feel for the fastball. He just challenged him that time on the 3-2 count and threw it right by him. And the runner was not off at first base for the Astros. That's a good thing, because it probably would have been a strike him out, throw him out.
Lexus is making a pledge to strike out hunger, and for every strikeout by a Sox pitcher, Lexus will donate $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Carson Smith now up in the Red Sox pen. Here's Altuve, who has singled twice and walked. Oh, he chased there. Went after a pitch that was not a strike on a curveball.
Yeah, he got fooled. He was thinking first pitch fastball, got a breaking ball that time. The curveball from Barnes.
Altuve is the reigning Gold Glover. He's the man that Dustin Pedroia has targeted to take that back this season. Pedroia is certainly having that kind of a season. Here's the 0-1. He checked. And no swing, says Fletcher.
Those battles become a little personal too. You know, when you're playing against a guy that plays the same position, you want to obviously win the game and you want to outplay your opposition. Both guys have tremendous respect for each other.
And now Robbie Ross has joined Carson Smith in the bullpen. No activity in Houston's pen. Here comes the 2-1 pitch to Altuve. High fly into right center field. Mookie Betts is there to make the catch. Castro back to first base. So that'll bring up George Springer, and let's go to TC.
All right, OB. George Springer and Matt Barnes played together at the University of Connecticut. They spent a summer playing together at the Wareham team at the Cape Cod Baseball League. They are very good friends. I sat down with both of them today for about a half hour. It's a feature you'll see tomorrow on the pregame show. Next half inning, you'll get a sneak peek. They've seen each other once in a game like this. It was a couple weeks ago in Houston. George said he had to keep looking down. He was afraid he was going to look up and start laughing. We'll see how this one plays out, OB.
All right, TC, thank you. Nobody laughing at the moment. Tie game here, 5-5. Springer has had a good night going. He is 2 for 3. We've all seen it before, though, in a hitter and a pitcher who are great friends, maybe were teammates together for years, and one of them gets traded.
Till that windup starts, right?
Till the windup starts, especially when one of the guys throws 98.
Yeah.
2 out here. Wave and a miss, and that was that breaking ball.
Yeah, again, you know, Springer thinking fastball. He's ahead in the count, 1 ball, no strikes. Thinks he's going to get the fastball, doesn't get it. Gets the curveball from Barnes. A fastball swing on a breaking ball.
Springer with a big hit in the 5th inning, a 2-run double. And serious power. Here's the 1-1 from Barnes to his former teammate, and that's a strike.
Getting the high strike that time, right at the top of the strike zone. A lot of times you don't see that pitch called a strike, but it certainly was in this case. There was a time in baseball, and not too many years ago, where you couldn't throw the ball above a belt and get a strike call. That's changed.
The 1-2. Overthrown that time. Yeah, you go back and look at some old games, you know, from the 60s. The strike zone was much higher, and then it came down.
Then it came way down, yeah. To a point where it got ridiculous. I mean, you could, if it was between the belt buckle and the top of the knees.
Runner at first and 2 away. 2-2 on the way. That is high.
Keeps going upstairs with that fastball, trying to get him to chase, but he won't. Once again, the fastball upstairs, that's where Hannigan wants it, but Springer won't chase it.
He can be a patient hitter in their 16-inning game on Wednesday. Springer took 4 walks.
21 walks on the season.
Correa on deck. Here's the payoff pitch. Runner goes. Swinging a high, deep drive into left field. That's way up there, and it's into the monster seats. It is a 2-run homer. Springer doing in his old teammate. 7-5 Houston. He's had a big night. He's driven in 4 runs.
He certainly has. A single, a double, and now the home run. And he went back to the breaking ball after Springer would not chase high fastballs. He goes back to the breaking ball, and Springer is all over it.
Single, double, home run for him. 4 RBIs. So that makes it 7-5 Houston. What a turnaround here. Red Sox had a 5-1 lead at one point. Still a lot of time left here in the 6th inning, and Correa will be the batter. He's gone 0 for 2 with a walk. So the Red Sox with some work to do tonight. And a swing and a miss for strike 1 by Correa. Rasmus would be next. And the 0-1, another swing and a miss by Correa. They take some hacks.
That's a team that obviously can hit the long ball. They lived on that last year. Strange combination of power, home run hitting, and speed. Number 1 in the American League in stolen bases.
0-2 ground ball up the middle for a base hit. So Correa aboard for the 2nd time tonight. And out pops John Farrell. He appears to have seen enough of Barnes tonight. George Springer untying it with a home run into the monster seats. And with 2 down, Farrell takes the baseball away from Barnes. So that's all for Matt this evening, with Colby Rasmus on the way up. But it'll be Robbie Ross coming out to pitch to him. And we'll take the break as well here in the top of the 6th inning with 2 down. 7-5. The Astros are out in front at Fenway. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Matt Barnes giving up a 2-run homer to his pal George Springer. And moments ago, Correa with a base hit, so that brings on Ross out of the bullpen. A left-hander with a 3.21 ERA in 10 appearances. And to face Colby Rasmus, who is 1 for 3. There are 2 out in the inning, and that's a strike. So the Red Sox looking up at the Houston Astros for the second time tonight. First time it was 1-0, now 7-5. Rasmus has hit 7 homers, and he flicks that one foul to fall behind 0-2. So the Sox got a short start tonight from Stephen Wright. He went 4 1/3 innings. As the first time he hasn't got at least 6. And Barnes unable to keep it a tie game as that one is sock foul.
Been a strange one tonight. It looked like the Red Sox were going to run away with this thing early like they have been doing, and all of a sudden you look at the scoreboard and they're trailing at 7-5.
Here's the 0-2, and that'll miss outside. Well, tomorrow afternoon, 1:05, Clay Buchholz taking on Colin McHugh. Sean O'Sullivan will pitch on Sunday afternoon at 1:35. The Red Sox head for Kansas City. That'll be just a 3-game series, and the Red Sox right back at Fenway on the 20th of May. 1-2 slammed into right field, driving back Betts. Mookie there to make the catch over the shoulder. That retires the side. But the Astros are now in front on a 2-run homer from George Springer. 7-5 here in the 6th inning. Get back to the communities in which they live and work, and thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. And tonight we welcome the Youth Activation Committee to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community. Rain keeps on falling here, steady but light at Fenway Park, and it's 7-5 Houston. As we take it to the last half of the 6th inning, feels like there's a long way to go in this one as Travis Shaw will lead things off, and then Brock Holt and Ryan Hannigan.
Yeah, it has that feel to it, doesn't it, Dave? 7-5 ball game, still about the middle of the game here, the bottom of the 6th. You got a feeling much more is going to happen in this one.
Travis Shaw to lead it off, a walk and a single. And Scott Feldman, the big right-hander, staying on to pitch here for Houston. Travis last night played in his 100th major league game.
Shift on the right side, as you can see, against Shaw.
High pop foul out of play. He has absolutely feasted on right-handed pitching. 375, which is 4th best in the American League. And Feldman's 1-1 outside. Red Sox have had the leadoff man on in just 1 inning, and it is the inning they scored 5 runs. Base hit by Hanley Ramirez in the second to get it started.
That followed by a couple of walks.
And then a double by Hannigan, a single by Jackie Bradley. And then Mookie Betts with an RBI single. Jackie actually didn't get a hit in the 4th inning, and there's apparently going to be an investigation. Major League Baseball has launched an investigation because he did not reach base.
I'm listening to it. I thought you were serious. I'm going, what?
I had you. There's a high deep drive. That one sucked to the triangle. Way back, and she's gone. Man, did he hit it. His 5th home run.
We just talked about this game's far from over, and Travis Shaw brings the Red Sox within a run. He gets a breaking ball this time and puts a beautiful swing on it. That breaking ball on the inside part of the plate. Shaw to straightaway center field, about 6-7 rows back in the bleacher seats out there.
Red Sox have now homered in 14 in a row. 1-run game as Brock Holt takes the ball. Speedway is proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience for every Sox home run. Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway near you and pick up your Speedway rewards card and start earning points today.
That may be the lift the Red Sox need right there. Now it sounds crazy, the lift. I mean, they've scored 5 runs in the game, 6 now, but they have been stagnant offensively for 3 innings. And sparked right there, hopefully, by Travis Shaw.
Brock Holt has walked and scored and tapped to second. He's 0 for 1. And again, he's hit in 17 straight against Houston. Almost like it's personal against the Astros for the native Texan. A long rainbow home run for Travis Shaw. Hit the daylights out of it. It traveled 427 feet, we're told. I'm thinking if it's not raining, 440, 445.
Possibly. Think the rain knocked it down some.
The 2-2 to Brock. Punched into left, coming on Rasmus, who's playing in shallow, and he snags that for the first out.
They had Brock Holt played perfectly right there as that line drive looked like it was going to drop in, but Rasmus right there playing shallow to make the play.
Well, the Red Sox have been a team that's been able to come back time and time again. Got all those runs early, and I'm with you. I thought, well, that's the start of it again. We've gotten culture to that.
Yeah, they've done a nice job shutting him down till this inning, and Travis Shaw gets things going again with the home run. So, you know, again, there's plenty of outs left in this game for both ball clubs. So I don't think 7-6 is going to be the final score.
Ryan Hannigan, the batter. He's doubled in a pair of runs. He has also struck out 1 for 2. And that man, Jackie Bradley, is on deck. Seven to 6 Houston. That just misses.
That's a pretty good pitch right there, taken by Hannigan, and Feldman not very happy he didn't get a call strike on that. Ball looked to be right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Looked like a strike.
Certainly did.
One, and that's a called strike. So go figure.
That might be a makeup call right there.
Do you really believe that happens?
I do. I absolutely do. Now I can't read the umpire's mind on this particular one, but yes, I've been in situations where that has happened. They miss one, and then the next pitch they even it up if it's close enough.
1-2 pitch. Trickled on the infield. Valbuena will throw on to first to get him. 2 down. And Jackie is next. And the way he's going, you just kind of stop anything you're doing right now. I doubt a lot of folks are, heading up the aisles to go to a concession stand or anything like that. Just want to see him swing the bat, having hit safely in 19 in a row. RBI single in the second inning. 15 RBIs in the last 5 games. Bases are empty here. And a cut and a miss right through that one.
That's how they got him last time to strike out on a breaking ball. First pitch breaking ball to Bradley that time. Actually a pretty good pitch to hit for Jackie.
The 1-strike pitch and right through there. Although that was called a ball earlier. JBJ with as many RBIs as David Ortiz has, 30.
Oh-2 changeup, it looks like.
And here it comes. And he left it in the dirt. One and 2 on Jackie Bradley, hitting .331. So he is tied with Xander Bogaerts for 5th in the American League in that category. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And there's another base hit. And a shift on, and he beats it. His second hit in tonight's game.
He gets a high breaking ball. It's not exactly where Feldman wanted that pitch. He leaves a breaking ball up and away from Bradley, and really the only place you can hit this ball is to the opposite field. If you try to pull it, it's going to be a ground ball at second base. Little slip by Jackie coming out of that wet batter's box. But he's happy to be at first base with the base hit.
That is his 6th consecutive game of at least 2 hits. And brings up Mookie Betts. Mookie has gone 1 for 3 with a single. The Sox coming into play tonight were hitting .295 as a team. That's #1 in Major League Baseball.
That's a lot of hitting for a team. .295.
You're not talking about after 5 or 6 games. You're talking about second week of May here. Tony Sipp, the tough left-hander, getting loose in their bullpen.
Sipp probably up in case they get to Ortiz.
Pedroia on deck. Bradley leading at first with 2 down. And a strike.
And if they do get to Ortiz in this inning, the Red Sox are going to be ahead.
Seven runs on 12 hits for Houston, 6 runs on 9 hits for the Red Sox, who at one point had a 5-1 lead in this game. But the tying run aboard at first base, and that one almost got away from Gonzalez. Neither starter went long in this one. Stephen Wright 4 1/3 and Lance McCullers 4 2/3. Mookie has homered 6 times. He takes a pitch outside. Hit a 3-run homer last night in the 6th inning, and he said he was as impressed as anybody with the way the offense has been performing. On a pace to hit 28 homers. Bradley leading at first base. Here's the 1-1. And a ball downstairs. This game started on time and has never been delayed despite the wet weather.
That's pretty consistent what the rain has done over the last 3 or 4 innings. Not enough to stop the game, but just enough to make it kind of miserable for the players.
Feldman's 2-1 pitch. Foul in the air, out of play. 2-2. Beautiful day on the way tomorrow, from what the weather folks tell us. Probably the prettiest day of the year.
I believe your prediction. It's going to be 75 and sunny.
Yep. That's what I'm going with. After the break, we'll have the 5-day. 2-2 on Betts. Softly lined into right. Springer is there near the warning track, and he will make the catch to retire the side. Travis Shaw blasts one out of here, and the Red Sox are down a run. By DCU, TC and Steve Lyons will preview Clay Buchholz's start against the Astros. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Travis Shaw blasting his 5th home run of the season has drawn the Red Sox within 1. We go to the 7th inning, and Ross will take on Marwin Gonzalez here. And then Valbuena and then Gomez. So a lot of free swingers. And the Astros lead has been cut to 1. Gonzalez tonight with 2 hits. He's driven in a pair of runs. He's gone 2 for 3.
And the Red Sox have not been involved in many games where it's coming down to the bullpens late in the game. This certainly is.
0-2.
Slider that time from Robbie Ross.
Robbie, a former outfielder back in the day. So he's been getting some publicity for his attempts when a home run goes into the bullpen or over the bullpen to make the catch on it. He has tried and failed on a number of occasions in spectacular fashion.
Oh, he's all out trying to make those catches.
He's like a linebacker trying to make an open field tackle going for these things.
I mean, he attacks it more than an outfielder does.
I mean, you really have to fear for his safety the way he goes about. I mean, he's serious. Flying into the wall. Cut on and missed. He puts him away very quickly. He fans Gonzalez for out number 1.
What the Red Sox want to see now is more of that. That kind of breaking ball right there. The slider that's going to be down and toward the outside part of the plate. No contact. First out of the 7th.
Sends up Valbuena, who is 0 for 3. Houston leading 7-6 in the 7th. Valbuena has hit safely in 6 in a row, so despite the 198 batting average, he's actually swinging a pretty good bat at the moment. And the 0-1. He would not offer. Red Sox have due up in the bottom of the 7th. Pedroia, Bogarts, and Ortiz. And will have to come from behind tonight. Great pitch. Called strike 1-2.
Yeah, bringing that breaking ball in just about 3 or 4 inches to pick up the outside corner from the previous pitch.
The 1-2 to Valbuena. 2-2.
Nice try there by Ross, because everything had been away, and you start thinking about that pitch away and trying to cover the plate with 2 strikes. So Ross tries to sneak the fastball by him inside, just off the inside edge.
Trying to make it back-to-back strikeouts in the 7th. And he gets it. Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Good job right there. After the inside fastball, back to the breaking ball away. One pitch setting up the next. And you can see the off-balance swing there by Valbuena. Back on his heels on that breaking ball.
Well, it's been another lengthy night at the plate for Gomez. Started the night hitting 196. He struck out twice and popped to short. 2 down, bases clean. And he hits that one in the air to left field, but Brock Holt is backing up, and that's a fast inning for Robbie Ross. Big bats coming up. Pedroia, Bogarts, and Ortiz at Fenway. Join Billy Costa and Jenny Johnson at the intersection where sports and dining meet. Dining Playbook driven by New England Chevy dealers. We actually have a camera person somewhere there.
It's been that kind of night at Fenway. Trying to keep that camera from getting wet.
Rainy and muddy.
Very expensive material.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Red Sox down 7-6 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Dustin Pedroia will start it. That's a ground ball. Going to be trouble if it remains fair. They're going to let it roll. It's going to be a base hit. And a good start to the 7th inning. An infield single for Pedroia.
Not a beautiful thing. Just hugging in the grass all the way down that third base line. And Valbuena knows he can't get Pedroia at first base, so you might as well just let it roll and hope that it rolls foul, but no chance of that. And Pedroia with the leadoff infield hit right toward the end of the bat. And you can smell a hit as you're running down that first base line. You know the way you make contact, you get a pretty good chance if it stays fair to have a base hit.
So that gives him a 6-game hitting streak. And more importantly, leading off the inning. So the tying run is on, and here's Xander Bogaerts, who already has a single and a double. He's lifted the average to 338. And a home run and 3 RBIs last night. In for a strike. Koji is starting to work in the bullpen. 7-6 Houston, 7th inning. David Ortiz on deck. And the 0-1, he cuts and misses. They get Giles and Sip throwing. Sip up again. So the wheels are turning at Fenway Park.
And Sip up for one reason. Big Papi.
Red Sox once again have reached double figures in hits. That has become routine. They have 10 hits. Fouled away as he spoiled that one. Again last night, the Red Sox becoming the first team in the majors this season to score in double figures in 4 straight. It's a nice play.
Yeah, moving to his right. A nice first step.
Oh, you're right. It was all footwork.
It was to get in proper position to make that play.
Nobody out. Pedroia leading at first base. And the 0-2 to Xander.
You know, Xander holds off a lot of those tight pitches because he kind of gets his weight out in front of him, and it's almost like he drags his bat behind him on those breaking balls. Watch that weight go on the front foot, but the bat is dragging behind him.
Big hole on that right side as Gonzalez holds Pedroia. Here's the 1-2. Down he goes. Strike 3. Bogaerts retired. David Ortiz coming up. Sip appears ready, and here comes the manager of the Astros, A.J. Hinch, and he'll make the call right here. So it'll be a lefty-lefty duel when we come back. Bottom half of the 7th inning. 1 out, 1 on. Ortiz waiting on Sip, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. He goes fishing on Lake Arrowhead. Plus he grills up some venison steaks and pork chops. Catch all that and more on Charlie Moore Outdoors Sunday night at 6:30. So Sip brought on to take on Big Papi. David is 1 for 9 against him in his career. Sip is 0-2 with a 3.86 ERA. One man out, one man on for the Red Sox. Pedroia at first base. 7-6. Houston leads in the 7th. And David is hitless tonight, 0 for 2 with an intentional walk. He takes a ball. Last night, 7 Red Sox starters collected at least 1 RBI and scored at least 1 run. David was one of them. And the lefty's 1-0. Line foul. Is scalded that one.
Look out, Ruben Amaro at first base. First base coach. Line shot by David. Got to be heads up down there. Right over his head.
Glad he's wearing that helmet. Pedroia gets his lead, 1 man out. Followed that all the way into the mid of Castro. 2-1. Sip with a 2-1 pitch. Foul back, another vicious rip, but it's 2-2.
David got an inside fastball that time, looking to pull that ball and probably pull it out of the ballpark, but foul straight back. They want the ball away. It stays inside, but it's just in a spot a little bit higher than David likes it.
Ramirez on deck. 7-6 Houston, 7th inning. Very patient. 3-2. See if he gets something to drive here. Crowd really coming to life. The 3-2. High pop up into center. There isn't plenty of time. 2 down. So not that time, and here comes Hinch again. With Hanley coming up as a right-hander, he wants to go to in the bullpen. So that was Sip's job, and he did it.
He certainly did. One guy had to face. That was it.
So it'll be Giles coming out of the pen. We'll take the break as well. Still 7-6 the Astros. Series for the pennant. You could win free furniture and mattresses. Pennant fever going on right now. The right-hander Ken Giles comes into the game. He was acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies in December. Very tough the last 2 years for Philadelphia. ERAs of 1.18 and 180. But this year, sky high at 790. And he'll battle Hanley Ramirez here. Dustin Pedroia started the inning with an infield single, but he's been stranded since. Xander Bogaerts struck out. Sip just got David Ortiz on a pop to center. So Hanley trying to do something with the inning as Houston leads 7-6. We're in the bottom of the 7th. And that's a strike. Hanley has gone 1 for 3, had a base hit, scored a run in the second when the Red Sox got 5 runs to take a 5-1 lead. The Astros tied it with 4 in the 5th inning, then went ahead 7-5, and then Shaw hit a long home run to make it 7-6. Fastball in tight.
Fastball at 98 miles an hour.
Giles with a 1-1 to Hanley. He lets that one go up top at 97. 2-1. That was close.
Yeah, that fastball, I mean, it's real hard. 98 miles an hour, and it's up about letter high. That's a hard pitch to lay off your hitter because it looks so good, but you can't catch up to it.
Here's his 2-1. Off the outside as he went with a breaking ball, a slider. So now 3-1. Shaw on deck.
Hanley's going to be looking for the ball middle in here, Dave, on a 3-1 count. Trying to give the Red Sox the lead.
The 3-1. And up and in. So he has walked him, and that'll put runners at first and second for Travis Shaw. Last time up, he just crushed one. So we'll have another mound visit. Shaw tonight is walked, singled, and homered.
Now the home run coming back in the 6th inning to lead off the inning. A breaking ball that he takes to straightaway center field.
That brings up Brent Strom, the pitching coach, for a consultation. So Travis with an opportunity to tie up the ball game or put the Red Sox in the lead right here. Will Harris is now active in their bullpen. Houston, a team really desperate for wins right now. First pitch is over but low for ball 1. Astros at 14-22 coming in. Sox have won 5 in a row, 10 of the last 13. Here's the 1-0. Had a pretty good cut.
Oh, contact there and contact in fair territory. That ball looks like it was headed toward left field and maybe off the wall, but instead fouled straight back. He gets that fastball away that's elevated. And that's what they want to try to do with Shaw, especially with a guy that throws this hard, is throw the ball above his belt.
Pedroia at second and Hanley Ramirez at first with 2 down. In tight. Brock Holt would be next. Sox trying to get even here. 7-6 Houston. in there for a strike. 97 as it popped the mitt.
Yeah, and they were a little bit away from Travis Shaw too, not in the area he was looking for the fastball. Looking inside, they were setting up inside, but the ball goes away, and Shaw takes it for strike 2.
Still a very gentle light rain falling at Fenway. Ground ball to the right side. Altuve will scoop it and into second base to retire the side. So the Red Sox fail to score in this inning. Still 7-6 Houston through 7. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. By your New England Audi dealers. And by Southern New Hampshire University. See yourself succeed at snhu.edu. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with you on a rainy night here in Boston, and Houston leading it 7-6. They've out hit the Red Sox 12-10. Neither side has committed an error in this one. And Koji will make appearance number 15.
And this ball game, as you look at Koji, has made 14 appearances on the season. It's a little bit different than what we've been used to over the last week for the Red Sox. A 1-run game late in the ball game. Red Sox trailing it by 1. Koji trying to keep that deficit at 1 run, as the Red Sox do have 6 outs left.
These 3 hitters have been trouble. Castro has doubled and singled. He'll lead off. Marisnik dropped down an excellent bunt for a hit, scored a run in the 5th inning, and then it's Altuve who's been on base 3 times. So it's 8, 9, and 1. Tough part of the order, at least tonight, for Houston. Again tomorrow, same 2 clubs at 1 o'clock on what is supposed to be beautiful sunny skies. Clay Buchholz taking on Colin McHugh.
Yeah, a couple of day games. 1 o'clock start tomorrow, 1:30 on Sunday.
Castro leads it off, a double, a single, and he has scored twice. And Koji's first one is high and wide for ball 1. The Astros struck first in this one. They had a 1-0 lead going to the bottom of the 2nd, and the Red Sox exploded again with 5 runs, but have only scored once since then. The Astros got 4 runs to tie it in the 5th, and 2 more in the 6th to lead it 7-6.
All 3 pitches so far for Koji have been split-fingered fastballs.
And the righty's 2-1. Popped him up foul out of play. The speedy Marisnick is on deck. The Astros 1-3 against the Red Sox this season. A 2-2 home. Another splitter. Castro has seen Koji 4 times. He has 1 hit, and it was a home run. The leadoff man here in the 8th inning for Houston. A shattered bat, foul ball, and the business end of the bat almost got Koji.
Yeah, he was looking at home, then he looked to first base where the ground ball was headed, and that bat almost got him. That was close. Watch Koji go to first base now, and then he looks up, sees the bat, and the bat almost went right over his head.
You know, I thought he had some of the bat in his hand. He had none of it in his hand. It was the entire bat.
Whole bat.
He did break it, but it didn't come apart in pieces.
Strange.
Koji fortunate to get out of the way. I have seen bats, and you have too, come apart, and part of it goes tumbling out and strike the pitcher on the fly. I've seen pitchers get hit with it like a spear and literally stick. And that is in there for strike 3. Caught him looking.
Yeah, that was the surprise pitch right there from Koji, because all split is previous to that pitch, and then he comes with the fastball at about 88 miles an hour and completely freezes Castro. Not expecting that pitch in that situation.
So 1 man out for Marisnick, who has already bunted for a single. He's also struck out and grounded out to third. 7-6 Houston in front of the 8th. He takes a ball. The Red Sox will have a 3-game road trip next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, going to Kansas City, but then come right back home after that, and series against Cleveland and Colorado. Terry Francona's Indians coming in, and then the Colorado Rockies. So a lot of home games here. The Red Sox have really taken advantage of that schedule to this point. One and two. That one disappeared.
Yeah, that might have been the best one he's featured so far in this game tonight. The bottom just falling out of it. You know, Dave, you and I talked at the beginning of this homestand how important it was for the Red Sox to play well at home and establish themselves as a feared team in their own ballpark.
They have done that, and that drifts inside to even a count of 2-2. Trying to put away Marisnick. A high pop up. Out goes Bogaerts. Holt coming in, and Brock Holt wants it. 2 down. Keep up with the Red Sox this season by following NESN on Instagram. Check out cool images from home games and road trips. Follow NESN today at Instagram.com/NESN. Now Altuve to dig in. He's been on base 3 times. 2 singles and a walk. He's also flied to right. He's hitting .333 with 9 home runs. Two down, bases empty. And that misses for a ball. The Orioles have won again. They beat the Tigers 1-0. They don't win many like that.
Now that's an extremely low score game for the Baltimore Orioles.
They've not won 6 in a row. There's a big swing and a miss by Altuve.
I think the surprising thing, Dave, is the pitching the Orioles are getting. We knew they'd hit.
They've been really good at home. They're 15-5 now at Camden Yards. Here's the 2-1. Rocketed down the left field line. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Altuve with good wheels on his way into second base. He has his third hit of the night.
He's been on base 4 times. The 3 hits Dave mentioned. He's drove in a run back in the 5th inning. Also walked in the 3rd. And gets in scoring position here with 2 outs at a key time in the ball game.
They're 1 and 2 hitters. Altuve and Springer have combined for 6 hits. Altuve with a single, a double, and last time up a 2-run homer off of Barnes, his former college teammate at UConn. So he is a triple away from the cycle. 2-out 8th inning. 0-1. Red Sox have due up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Holt, Hannigan, and Bradley. Jackie has 2 more hits tonight. He's hit in 19 straight. He thought about it, but it's in there for a strike. Back to his home run.
Yeah, breaking ball from Matt Barnes. And Springer looked like he was looking for the breaking ball in that situation. He had that kind of a swing at it. Ball stayed about middle of the plate, and out of Fenway it goes.
His 8th home run. He generates some serious power. Here comes the 0-2. Wouldn't go after the splitter. A lot of good young players on this Astro team. Springer, Correa right behind him, Altuve. Good core group. Gotten off to a choppy start this season. Altuve at second. And Koji's 1-2. He left it up high. Mentioned the Cubs won again. They beat the Pirates today 9-4. 26-8, the Cubs record. Believe it or not, the Red Sox have outscored them.
What is their magic number?
It's about that time. 2-2. Cut on and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. Side retired, so they waste the double. Coming up, Brock Holt, Ryan Hannigan, and JBJ. The Bruins season on and off the ice. Don't miss Behind the Bee tomorrow night at 7. That might be a bit of a tough watch.
I've been too quiet on that one.
Yeah. Bottom half of the 8th inning.
It's a great show, though.
It's a terrific show.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Harris coming on. He's been really hard to hit. A 0.57 ERA. He was instrumental for them last year in their run to the postseason. Brock Holt will lead things off by taking a strike. Brock has walked, grounded to second, and lined out to the left fielder. Trying to run his hitting streak against Houston to 18 straight. 7-6. The Astros leading in the 8th inning. Another strike. This guy is a very hard cut fastball. And he's gone 14 in the 3rd consecutive scoreless innings.
That last cut fastball was 93 miles an hour.
Ryan Hannigan is next. That went over his helmet.
Trying to come inside. No balls and 2 strikes, and way inside, up over the head of Brock Holt.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. And he strikes him out looking. He loves that cutter. And that's how he got him.
Yeah, right back to it after the pitch up and in. He goes right to the heart of the plate with the cut fastball to pick up the strikeout. See that slight movement right at the end. That defines the cut fastball.
So 1 away in the Sox 8th inning. Down a run brings up Hannigan, who has doubled, struck out, and grounded to 3rd. Big 2-base hit in the 2nd inning when the Red Sox scored 5 times. But they're trailing late. Sox are getting up Craig Kimbrell. He has not had many opportunities to work lately the way the offense has been performing. But warming up now in the pen. Fouled back on a big rip from Ryan Hannigan. 1-1.
You can see them shading Hannigan to the opposite field, and that swing right there was designed to go to the opposite field on the cut fastball. Springer and Risnick both shaded the other way.
Harris home with a 1-1 pitch and a strike. Clay Buchholz will pitch tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock here at Fenway. And Colin McHugh will be his opponent. The 1-2. Swung on, missed, and he was upset with himself, barking at himself as he walks away. This greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Jackie Bradley, RBIs in home games with 23 of those, including another one tonight back in the 2nd inning.
The Red Sox well represented on that list. Mookie Betts, Travis Shaw.
Jackie is 2 for 3 with 2 singles, driving that average up to 336. Looking to get on in front of Mookie Betts and into the dirt as he checked. Red Sox with 10 hits tonight yet again, but right now a run short. Fouled away off to the left. 1 ball and 1 strike. Harris out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, pitched at LSU, which has a great college program. As a freshman there, along with his brother Will, they became the first brother tandem to start in a game for LSU. One and two.
Another cut fastball, a lot of time to the outside corner against Jackie Bradley. Boy, every fastball appears to be the cut fastball. This one not as much movement on it, but right, perfect location.
Their bullpen has been pretty tough. Bounce that to the plate. Save for the home run by Travis Shaw in the 6th inning.
Boy, nothing straight, is it? I mean, it's a cut fastball, curveball. Everything's got some movement on it.
He's trying to strike out the side here in the 8th. Nobody on base, 2 down. The 2-2 to Jackie. Got a piece of it. Whenever you think about a cutter, you think about Mariano Rivera.
And you know, everybody knew it was coming. Every single pitch. That was so amazing.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Jackie looking for his 3rd hit tonight. There's a shot up the middle, and there it is. Man, is he hot. 3 for 4. Another one scalded.
I'll tell you, this has been something to watch. I mean, everything hit hard. Solid contact on top spin line drive. They're in the shift. Correa's in the shift. Right over his head. And see if the Red Sox try to run Jackie here with 2 outs. It's kind of tough on this track they have right now with the rain falling all day. But well, let Mookie try to take one out of here for the 2-run job and give him the lead.
Betts will climb in 1 for 4 with an RBI single.
I think the 2-run home run would be my choice.
Betts with 6 of them. And he'll look at a strike. Red Sox in that rare position lately where they have to rally. They were down 7-5. Travis Shaw blasting a long home run in the 6th inning to make it 7-6. Sox have had some chances the last few innings. And there's another strike. Right on the edge, and it's 0-2.
That's a tough strike right there. I mean, just barely getting a piece of the outside corner. Betts thought it was outside. You could see it being pulled back by Castro, the catcher. And a few of those called tonight.
So now Mookie's in the hole, 0-2. And Harris deals. He'll go to first base first. Jackie Bradley leading at first. He's never been caught trying to steal. Not a big lead, not running. 1-2.
That's just like a pitch out right there. Certainly not a good pitch to run on. 0 balls, 2 strikes because of that. Trying to get Mookie to chase a bad pitch that's away from him, and if he does it, that becomes like a pitch out for the catcher.
Harris with a 1-2 pitch. He's throwing a lot of strikes. There goes JBJ, and it's cut on and missed for strike 3. So he strikes out 3 in the inning. We go to the 9th, 7-6 Houston. The topics people can vote on to hear you talk about tonight on NESN Sports Today. Jackie Bradley continues on fire. The offensive slugfest tonight. And right not sharp for the only time this season. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply.
Dead tie, 33. Oh, somebody jumped out front. Bradley's streak.
So we'll see if that's the case. Jackie with 19 consecutive games. Well, here comes Craig Kimbrell. Pitching in the ninth inning with Houston leading by 1. And facing Correa, Rasmus, and Gonzalez. So the heart of their order. He's not had a whole lot of work lately. And the breaking ball is inside for ball 1. Started him out with a curve.
And that's what that curve will do to you. If you throw it directly at the body like he did at Correa, it gives you the jelly leg.
Correa 1 for 3 with a single. Fouls that one back. 1-1. Red Sox the last few innings have had opportunities, particularly in the 7th when they had a couple of men on base. Jackie Bradley singled in the 8th inning. But the Red Sox had 3 men strike out. So come the 9th inning, it'll be Pedroia, Bogaerts, and Ortiz due up into the dirt. Averaging 97.4 miles per hour with that fastball. And the 2-1 to Carlos Correa. Now 2-2.
And that last fastball at about 97 miles an hour. Correa able to get a piece of it and foul it off. Left it inside. That ball, Hannigan wanted it away. Stayed inside, and Correa able to get the foul ball.
Rasmus on deck, the 2-2, and he waves and misses. Down he goes on the breaking pitch.
Yeah, that's just nasty right there. I mean, he throws the fastball inside. Correa's able to foul it off, and then the next pitch is that hard breaking ball away. And you can see the front foot. Look at the front foot of Correa, how he's bailing out a little bit. Watch that front foot step down the third base line. Once that happens, you got no chance of hitting that breaking ball away.
It's like a frisbee. Now Rasmus is 1 for 4, and when he encountered Kimbrell in Houston, he hit a home run off him. In the Sunday night game, the Red Sox had to come back and rally to win, which they did.
Got a low fastball that time from Kimbrell and took it out of the ballpark.
And would tie the game, and the Red Sox would have to go extra innings to win. But Boston took the series. And that just misses inside. Rasmus with an infield single way back in the first inning. He's gone 0 for 3 since then. He thought about it up high with a fastball. So that home run is only career hit against Kimbrell. 1 for 6. Astros in the lead here in the 9th inning, 7-6. Red Sox are going to have to rally again against them, and that's downstairs. And now Shaw will move off of third base and move to the right side of second base, and Bogaerts will go back to his spot on the left side.
That's because they certainly don't expect any possible bunt right now from Rasmus.
The 3-1 and a strike. He was about to flip the bat.
Elevating the fastball that time. He remembers the home run that he hit was on a low fastball. No low fastball there.
Rasmus takes a lot of walks. He's walked 22 times, third most in the American League. He punches that one foul. Well, if you have a son or daughter who wants to learn more about baseball or the Red Sox, visit NESSONClubhouse.com. It's fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NESSONClubhouse.com today. One man out. Rasmus the hitter. Here comes the 3-2 from Kimbrel. And he walked him. That barely missed. So Rasmus is aboard with one away.
And once again, Kimbrel trying to keep that fastball, up in the zone, and very close pitch, but apparently just missing the outside part of the plate.
So a man on for Marwin Gonzalez, who has a pair of hits. He's 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Right now, the biggest hit in the game is off the bat of George Springer, a 2-run homer back in the 6th inning off Matt Barnes. The 2 UConn kids going toe-to-toe. Great friends. Springer certainly won that battle. And there's a high fly ball into right field, but not deep. And Mookie Betts there to make that catch. 2 down. The 2016 CBS Health Charity Classic features more than the nation's top golfers. Don't miss the Charity Classic benefit concert that features Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence on June 28th. Go to Ticketmaster.com/Charity Classic Fenway. Here's Valbuena, 0 for 4 in this one, and 0 for 2 against Kimbrel. We are in the 9th inning, 7-6 Houston. Popped him up. That'll twist foul back off into the stands. Again, coming up for the Red Sox, Pedroia, Bogarts, Ortiz, and if anybody reaches, Hanley Ramirez. Now this mist falling over Fenway barely noticeable now. That one slipped a bit.
And tried to snap off the curveball that time, but just slipped right out of the hand. And a pretty nice play by Hannigan. Remember, there's a man at first base. That ball gets by him. You get another man in scoring position in a 1-run game.
Rasmus on at first, and they're 2 down in the 9th inning. And a 1-1 with the runner going, waved at and missed. Rasmus will slide into second base with a theft.
He stole a lot on Kimbrel. Kimbrel, as most closers do, are kind of slow to the plate because they generate so much power. And Kimbrel's delivery to home plate kind of invites the stolen base. There was no chance for Hannigan to even make the throw. You see the high leg kick and the breaking ball combination, and not even a throw to try to get Rasmus at second. So now a strikeout looks very big.
He's ahead 1-2. Valbuena certainly swings for the fences. 2-2. And Kimbrel a little bit off. 17 pitches, 9 strikes.
Not a lot of work recently. A little rusty maybe.
Yep. There's a big run out there at second base for Houston. Rasmus leading. Here's the 2-2 to Valbuena. And that one just missed. And it did miss.
Yeah, Kimbrel thought he had it. He thought he was going to buy the call right there by taking a few steps to the dugout. But the ball was just a little bit outside. You see Kimbrel 2-3 steps toward the Red Sox dugout.
Gomez, who's really been slumping, is on deck. Let's see what Kimbrel does here with Valbuena. On the 3-2. And check swing. Fastball. They do appeal and no swing, says Danley. So it's ball 4. And they now have runners at first and second for Gomez.
That's a pretty good at bat by Valbuena right there to draw the walk. Kimbrel comes back with the fastball outside part of the plate, and he's able to check that swing on a ball at about 3 inches outside.
I think you're right. He's rusty. So he's walked 2 in this inning. Gomez 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Big cut and a miss at 98. Gregerson working in their bullpen. Kimbrel working for the first time in 3 days, and it's fouled back to make it 0-2. Now this remaining crowd would like a strikeout right here and keep it 7-6 as 2 runners lead. Again, Gomez has already punched out twice. Fouled away, a little dribbler. He barely made contact.
Wow. You talk about running a ball inside hard. Gets a right-hander. That's exactly what Kimbrel did there. It's amazing that bat did not crack. I mean, look at the location of this fastball inside and where Gomez makes contact, and then I can't believe the bat's not cracked.
2 on, 2 out, 2 strikes, and here it comes. 1-2. A 1-run game here in the top of the 9th inning. Castro on deck. Rasmus and Valbuena lead away, and a 1-2 from Kimbrel. He checked, and that's outside.
.24 pitches for Kimbrel since coming in this game,
and only 12 strikes. And he'll call out Hannigan. Houston trying to snap the 5-game Red Sox winning streak. This is the most pitches that Kimbrel has thrown in a game this season. So he's gone to 2-2 on the free swinging Gomez. Fastballs at 97, 98. Would he go back to the hook here?
Well, I think if he did, he gets him. I think if you throw that hook directly at Gomez, I think there'll be a little flinch there.
Trying to keep that run at second from scoring. The 2-2 again. Went to the fastball, and he smoked him at 97. 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Red Sox need 1 to tie. Pedroia, Bogaerts, Ortiz coming up. the damage. Altuve 3 for 4. Springer with a huge home run. For the Red Sox, a short night for Stephen Wright for the first time. 4 1/3, 9 hits, 5 earned. Jackie Bradley still sizzling. 3 for 4 with a double and an RBI, and has scored a run. The Astros will bring on Luke Gregerson. He's their closer. 7 saves. He's 0-1. And it'll be Pedroia, Bogaerts, and Ortiz looking to tie or win the ball game here against their closer. Pedroia singled on the infield in the 7th inning. He's 1 for 4. And he takes a strike. Sox are 0-11 when trailing after 8 innings. Ground ball, hard hit but foul. And it's 0-2.
Different styles for different teams. A 1-run ball game, and the third baseman and first baseman not hugging in the line, not protecting against a 2-base hit.
Gregerson is their 5th reliever to pitch in this game. And the 0-2 coming. Popped him up. And to foul ground, Gonzalez heading to the camera well, leans in. He tried to hang on, but he couldn't get it. Went right into the stands.
Yeah, that's a tough spot down there because you got the top, you got the camera well, you got a lot of things you got to deal with as you're heading in that direction. And all of a sudden right there he bangs into the wall, runs out of room. That is a tough part of the ballpark.
A little bit of everything to deal with.
Yep.
Including fans. We're not going to make it easy on you. So Pedroia is still alive. Here's the 0-2. Trying to check. Did he? The appeal. He did. Outside, 1-2.
Not even close to being a swing.
Pedroia has hit 3 home runs in his last 8 games. Hitting .305. Swing and a miss, down he goes on a slider.
Now tough pitch, starts at middle of the plate to Pedroia, and thing breaks off the outside part of the plate. You can see where it starts.
This is our cricket something to smile about moment. It's a rally dance of some sort.
Hope it works.
Or a rain dance. We already had that coming. Here's Xander Bogaerts. He is 2 for 4 with a single and a double. Nothing in 1 on Xander. David Ortiz on deck.
He's a pretty impressive slider that Gregerson's throwing right now to these right-handed hitters. Threw it nasty one at Pedroia. Starts off Bogaerts with 1. Gonna stay with it.
Same result. 0-2.
See if he tries to do the same thing that he did to Pedroia by going way off the outside part of the plate.
Base is empty. 1 down, bottom of the 9th, and here it comes. Tried to hold up there, but he didn't. He swung and missed. They appealed to the first base ump. Toby Basner said he swung the bat for strike 3.
Well, from up here it didn't look like it, but let's take another look from the side. Kind of tough to tell from this angle right here. Now this will will show it better. And
no,
to me, I don't think he did go.
I would agree with you. That's not a swing. Sanders says, come on. So bad break for the Red Sox. 2 consecutive strikeouts. Brings up David Ortiz.
Yeah, I didn't like that call at all.
David 0 for 3. Has been walked intentionally once. He takes a strike. He went back to a fastball. Houston 7, Red Sox 6, bottom of the ninth, and 2 men out. Tazawa warming up in case. Should the Red Sox rally to tie this game? The 0-1 home. High pop up into left field. There's Rasmus. And waiting on that, and that is the ball game. It's also the end of the Red Sox 5-game winning streak as they fall here tonight 7-6 to the Houston Astros. Red Sox do wind up with 11 hits. They got 5 of those runs at him in 1 inning and had trouble adding on tonight, so no magic in the end here at Fenway.